people have died, with a total of 34 fatalities reported in the region. More than 80,000 residents have been relocated due to the flooding.
In Colombia, former President Alvaro Uribe has been convicted of witness tampering and bribery. The trial has drawn widespread attention, marking a historic moment for the nation.
Uribe's conviction stems from actions that aim to influence witnesses in a legal case.
Gaza is facing severe famine-like conditions, according to United Nations officials. Joseph Eckerson reports.
Thousands of children are malnourished, with hunger-related deaths on the rise. Airdrops alone cannot meet the region's urgent needs.
A plane at Denver International Airport experienced a landing gear issue, forcing passengers to evacuate.
The incident occurred on an American Airlines flight departing on Saturday. Emergency slides were deployed as smoke was reported from the landing gear.
This is News in 60 with Alan Edwards.
Program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
We got a cup of coffee in here, please.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Yeah, right.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
I don't know.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
You gotta bump, 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 bump.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
No laughing. Well, might as well go out with a laugh. Look at you, like leaning back. I need coffee. Will it turn off? Kill that band! Oh. Let's see if they turn off. Nope, they're gonna boom boom boom. Yep. Those boom 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 bastards. Good morning, folks. Everything is going wrong here, technically wise today. As you see, I got the shitty cam on with the shitty mic, the shitty computer, waiting for the good computer to reboot. Anyway, good morning. It is Wednesday, hump day, July 30th, 2025. If you don't know by now, the world's coming to an end. We got tsunamis hitting America. Well, we'll see what kind of damage it does, but I'm not all that optimistic. I've never been optimistic about anything anyway, but and it's not funny. It's not funny. Stop laughing. Don't even about it. I saw you. So, we got these tsunamis hitting the West Coast. I don't know what's happening with Russia. The thing was close to Russia, right? So they're getting hit too. But we don't care about them, do we? It's fucked up. GD's not here today. And the other thing that's coming we're getting, this thing that's coming to destroy the planet at 130,000 miles an hour. It's big. It's 7 miles in diameter. Some people, Avi Loeb, thinks it's a alien mothership coming to wage. No, they're not coming to wage war because they told whatever. It's all convoluted. Anyway, it could be an asteroid, it could be a comet, could be a spaceship. But it's not looking good for humanity. And why not? Who cares? I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. Still waiting for this stupid thing to boot up. So you hear my voice, it sounds a little, I don't know, AM radio? Are we on AM radio today? While we wait for the world to end, several weeks ago, on the Blind Mike program, blindmikeproject.net, Mike offered me some unsolicited advice. He said, and unsolicited advice aimed at helping me grow my numbers. He said, you got to get rid of the talentless hacks that you surround yourself with. Now, I appreciate the advice. I'm not sure. I think today, because GD isn't here, I've gotten rid of all of them. The talentless hacks, by the way, he was speaking of with GD and Steven and Ron, and one by one, got rid of all of them. And today we have a chance to prove Mike right or wrong. So I'm going to be here alone, and I think I'm going to prove that I could suck without any talentless hacks. I'm going hackless, and still going to suck. So there's that. Now, I used to do this program. I started out doing it this way, and I've had several co-hosts, some with breastises and some without breastises. I don't know if you count Steven in the breastises column. Anyway, we had some good-looking young ladies and some ugly old men. And numbers don't change. So I don't think Mike is right when he says that that's the issue. I just got to get rid of the talentless hacks because I'm done with talent. I'm not done with them, but they're not here today. And look, nothing's changed. Well, something's changed. The technology doesn't work. So it's even worse without the talentless hacks. Look, I'm getting phone calls from myself. That's weird. Things are getting weird here. So yeah, we got the tsunamis. We got aliens or comets coming to destroy the planet, and I'm down with it. I really am, because you know what? Fuck these Trumpers. I want to see them. They're planning on this. First of all, they get off on the misery of others. They really do. They get off on seeing families get torn apart. They get excited. They get aroused. They might even come by seeing ICE ripping families apart. Still nothing happening over there. I want to punch that computer. You ever want to punch a computer? And so, it would be nice to see them. Oh shit! This Fourth Reich we were planning on all along, not going to happen because of a dopey comet that got in the way. And it would be nice if it would have hit right in DC, And I don't fucking care about the other side. The other side deserves a comment as well. So there's that. So I'll be enjoying it. And what do I got to lose? This. Anyway, today we're going to be talking more AI. John Bombinick. I gotta stop that because I can't hear myself now. John Bombinick. He's a artificial intelligence researcher. He's got a book out called Lies, Damn Lies, and AI. I think John is going to have a very pro. Now listen, I'm wrong about every one of these fucking guests. So, but I think he's going to be very pro AI and kind of trying to calm the fears, calm the panic, calm the negative thoughts about what AI can do. Now, there's a lot in the music world. There's a lot of shit going on, a lot of chatter. People who hate AI, people who are using AI. Listen, if you're just using AI, just blindly going to, and I don't know all the apps, but there's Songer, there's Suno. If you're just going there and putting in a prompt and coming out with a song, you're not creating music. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should say hello, face this way, because it feels a little weird. And I really don't need the headphones just yet. I was going to go, but I'm waiting for that computer to light up. I was going to go to one of these sites and actually create a song this morning and show you what how a musician might use that in song creation without having it be the song creator. I'm not sure I like this because I got to lean too far forward in this key. Nothing is going right. Oh, he's losing his mind. What mind, you say? And I don't even like it. I should change headphones. I'm waiting for that stupid. Anyway, I did say the show was going to suck. Anyway, maybe if we ever get up and running over there, maybe I'll do that in the first hour. Maybe we'll go there and create a song together and see how the difference between just putting in a prompt and coming up with a song, or writing your own lyrics, putting your own lyrics in, giving it some chord structure or a riff or something to base the song off of, and things like that. Maybe we'll show some of that. Chat room is kind of empty, but I'm seeing people. We're not on BitChute again today. We were on there yesterday, and it all went fine. And then I went to set this program up there last night, and it said I had to enable streaming services. Now, live stream services were on there. I'm just going to check to see if they've rectified that. BitChute. No. You know what? Maybe. No. Nope. Now we get nothing. Now it just gets nothing. Just weird. Anyway, I'm sorry for the dead air there. I was seeing if this thing was actually. Is this thing on? I don't think it is. I told you the show was going to start. Now, if I go to live, because it says live. Yesterday's show, it says, is live now. It's not live now. And it's not still running from yesterday. Something is. I can't do this. Yeah, now I got things in my ear. They got to get their stuff together over there at BitChute. I mean, I'd like to see them succeed, but if you can't let people live stream like every day, or just do it once and then come back and it doesn't work, that's not good. So in the meantime, the guest won't be here till the second hour, so you're just going to get me just talking sideways to a computer. Why? Anyway, so yeah, the Trump administration is going crazy, taking victory laps over the tariffs not creating recession or crazy inflation yet. Now, we have seen some inflation and prices are starting to go up, but the Republican Party, since George Bush, has become the party of let's declare victory in the first inning of the game. Nobody claimed that. Nobody who was analyzing what the tariffs might and how they might affect the economy was saying, yeah, it's going to cause an immediate recession, or it's going to cause immediate wide-scale inflation. It takes time. Now they're taking a victory lap over $150 billion in added revenue from the tariffs. But you're going to pay that. I'm going to pay that. That will. Do you trust human nature? Because that's what we're talking about here. And this is where capitalism needs regulation. Without guardrails, humans left to their own devices will be selfish motherfuckers. This is absolutely true. So, and it would be true of me. I'm not saying that they're the devil. Corporations, though, they're not just going to watch profits drop and pay higher tariffs and suck up that money, suck up the loss. Oh yeah, we'll pay that. They're going to pass it on to you. That's what they do. So eventually, that $150 billion that they're doing a little victory dance about now, that's going to come down to you and I paying that. And it's a tax on consumers. I don't know why I know why they're in denial of that, because to come out and tell the truth about that might hurt baby Donnie's feelings, because he can't be wrong about anything. And he got it in his head that tariffs are going to make America great again. as if it wasn't great. You know what? It was fucking great up until he showed up. This is the first part of the equation where he succeeded. He convinced everybody who was having a good time, having a good life, that things were shitty before he arrived on the scene. Things were very good, and I can prove that to you. Go back, and if you're on Facebook, because there's a thing called memories on Facebook, and go back to your memories and look at 2012, 13, 14. I guarantee there's some good times. You're in that partying, partying like and having a good time with friends and family. Things weren't sucky. Things were amazing. Now look at some of those people in those photos. They're not your friends anymore. They fucking hate your guts. What changed? He's changed. He's the change. So America was never shitty to be. It needs to be make America great again. It was fucking great. It was fucking great. It's no longer feeling great. It's feeling like hate your neighbors, hate your friends, your family. Don't talk to people. Let's just stab each other in the back constantly. And now we got tsunamis and asteroids. And I do think it's about time to fucking reset this planet. Like a full dinosaur reset. Come on, dudes. I'm getting impatient with this computer. Anyway, so make America great again. There you are. Now the other thing, his obsession with fucking windmills. Windmills are not a new technology. If windmills were toxic and really causing cancer, how come there wasn't like rampant cancer in like Denmark, Norway, for 500 years? Any answers to that? Because the answer is windmills don't cause cancer. And birds don't fly into them like en masse. You'll be occasional stupid bird that will fly into anything. I've seen birds fly into cars on the expressway. That it's not like going to happen en masse. And it's not happening en masse. And the whales, now he's claiming whales are coming up on shore because of windmills. No, whales are coming up on shore for the same reason whales have always stranded themselves on shore. Entanglements, just feeding in the wrong places and all that stuff. But for something happened to him with a windmill. Maybe in his childhood, maybe he got ass raped in a windmill and he just can't let it go. Windmills are the devil in his mind. And God forbid somebody in his dopey little organization there had the balls to tell him, look, boss, windmills are fine. You're exaggerating this stuff. You're sounding a little bit nuts. And a little bit nuts. A lot of it nuts. And going on and on. Like, listen, I know nuts. You want to see my nuts? No, I'm serious. Going on and on about windmills. And listen, if this was Joe Biden, seriously, and I'm no Joe Biden fan. I'm just saying, just in comparison, if this was Joe Biden going on about windmills or anything, coal, clean, beautiful coal, people would have definitely equated that to cognitive decline. Like, this crazy old man. But for some reason, he could say the dopiest shit imaginable, and people don't put two and two together. The man is fucking Fruit Loops. I haven't even played a commercial yet, have I? Maybe if I play a commercial, the other computer might pop on. I'm just, I'm uncomfortable. Can you tell I'm uncomfortable? Uh-oh. The thing just shut down. It's restarting again. Oh, you son of a bitch, you. Here we go. Anyway, yeah, I'll play a commercial and see if I'll come back to this dopey thing. What's going on here? I hope it's fixed by the time John Bominick comes on at 10:15, where we talk more about AI. This is like an AI week, an AI month. Oh, hey, wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah, let me play a commercial and then we'll see what we do.
gently, soft and pink. She comes without a head, but at least she'll never shit the bed. You need a fake rubber squeeze, be like Stephen Ortiz. Lube it up, it's so soft, get you 10% off. He goes to Tantalene, he goes to Tantalene, he goes to Tantalene, he goes to Tantalene.
I don't need that. I don't need it. I don't need those dopey headphones because I'm not talking to anybody. I don't need to hear anything. We're getting booted up over here, and momentarily, I think we should be back on the normal system. Anyway, damn good coffee. I feel like I'm kind of laid back here, like, hey, how you doing, buddy? Anyway, so today we are going to be talking to John Bombanek about AI stuff. If I can get this up and running in short order, and I think I can, what I'd like to do is kind of illustrate, and I kind of showed a little bit of it last week, the proof, absolute proof, that the Butler assassination attempt was staged. And before you think, well, this is a conspiracy theory, and Matt is always claimed to not be a conspiracy theory. I'm not saying I have absolute proof that it was faked. I'm saying I have absolute proof it was staged, and there is a difference. It can be real and staged, or it can be faked and staged. But I think I have absolute proof that it's staged, and I would love to. You know what? Maybe I can even see if I can do it before I get the other blobbity blop up and the blobbity blop. I'm talking about the blobbity blop. Let me see if I got this. I'm sorry for the dead air here, but we're trying to make do with a technologically trying little. Oh no, it's a fake wave. Well, yeah. So we can look at, first of all, Trump's history as somebody who knows staging, who has been fascinated with television production his entire life. This is his thing. He loves TV. He sits around all day watching TV, or when he's not golfing, and he just loves television. So here's just a reminder of how he does love to play for the cameras, even though, well, this is not the right one. Hold on, that's not the right one. Remove that one. Play for the cameras, even though it's not showing what it claims to show. And it's not fun. I'll tell you that much. Here we go. Files. Oh, big wave. Here you go. Now this is him coming out. He knows the cameras are there. This is a absolute. He's waving to nobody, as if there's a huge crowd, and he wants to use that as like footage to fool people. This is his thing, imagery, and he studied Hitler. Like, all people think the comparisons to Hitler are overdone. But one thing, if you study Hitler, you know that when Hitler was in prison and working on Mein Kampf, he hired a photographer to get him in all these kind of poses. He's strong man, but fight. He studied that. His first wife, Ivanka, the one who he threw down the stairs and killed, he talked about that at great length, how he kept Mein Kampf by his bed and would read, especially those kind of things where he's talking about the power of image and using that image. God damn it. Fucking frustrating shit. Chrome. Come on, Chrome. Come on, Chromie. Anyway, so he likes staging. Now I'm gonna Can I remove this now? Jesus, remove from the studio, remove from the studio. Everything's just a pain in my ball. Now let me show. I want to share this if I can get to it. Fake. I know you're here somewhere. Fake. Trump wave. What is that? Trump wave? Oh yeah, this is the same. This is the same angle of him coming out waving the mask. He wants you to believe there's masks with people down there. Nobody down there. Absolutely nothing. We can remove that. So you see, he does. I mean, faking is his thing. Staging is his thing. Now, again, I'm not saying this is definitive proof that it was fake, but I'm saying the staging part of it. The staging is basically setting up a shot, getting the lights right, getting everything looking exactly like you like it for maximum effect, getting the lights right, the angles right, angles of the cameras right, the props in the right places. And I don't know, where is it? I can't believe I would have ditched this thing because Trump wave. No, that's not it. All right, looks like I'm talked too soon. I might have lost the fake wave. Come on, dudes. I might have lost the file I'm looking for, which would really suck and make me look like a total dick. Not that I wasn't a total dick before, but now I look like a bigger total dick. I'm sorry about this, folks. I really am. I really am. What would it be called? See, this is what happens when you don't plan things. See, this now coming back to the Blind Mike thing. His advice should have been plan the fucking show, get ready, and be prepared. That's what it should have been. Not don't get rid of the hacks. The hacks weren't the problem. I've always been the problem from day one. I'm the problem. Okay, here it is. It's called fake. That's I should have known that.
The president's been shot.
All right, now here you go. This comes from the
Either that or they're covering. We don't know. Either that or they're covering it.
The guy you started at the beginning there.
The president's been shot.
Running across the bottom there.
Oh no.
Where's he going? The fire is
either that or they're covering. We don't know. Either that or they're covering him.
Where is he going? He's going to get the photographer.
We love you. We love you, President Trump.
Come over here.
We love you. We love you, President Trump.
Come over here. No, come over here. Get this guy. And he wants to get off. And
we love
he did
you.
that. He did it as the shots were being fired. Like, he didn't. This wasn't. It was no delay. It was instantaneous. It came to the fact that, wait a minute. Let me get the photographer in the right area.
It could just be his ear. It could just be his ear. He's walking.
Pretty telling. This is staged. And we did it. Watch it back again.
The president's
shot
just
happened. This guy runs immediately. Without
either that or they're covering. We don't know. Either that or they're covering
him in the right place. Now,
we love you.
Walking around like
we love you, President Trump. We love you.
It's pretty careless.
We love you, President Trump.
I'm just looking in every direction. I got 10, 20 giant photographers.
We love you.
I'm not even paying attention to where they are. And he's up there posing, and they're getting the right angle. And if you notice, you got a crane. What is that crane? What crane is holding?
It could just be his ear.
Lower down. This is the right moment.
We love you.
He gave the order to lower
Okay,
the
so the photographers come and stop.
Dragging the photographers to the
That
right
same guy,
area.
that has been given order and... Okay, it's unbelievable.
Do we see the flags?
Clearly staged.
Because the flags were raised up.
Look what he's doing.
And they weren't being
it's so
used
vile, it's so disgusting.
Until that moment. Now,
we love you.
They lower the crowd down.
Yes.
The photographers are out there. Make sure you get the flag in the shot. That's staged. That's undeniable. Let's get the proper image on this stuff. We want to make sure it's staged exactly the right way. Get moving the flag down to right behind him in the shot. If you remember the final shot, that flag is
Am I the
right,
only one seeing
it
this?
looks like it's right over his shoulder.
I
Because
can
of
be,
the
right?
angle
You see
where
the screen, right? Look what he's doing.
They're out
Look.
here. They bring the flags down
Wow.
behind them. The angle
He's
that
making
these
sure
guys
everything
have out
is in
front
the right places, you know?
is perfect to have those flags as a
It's
backdrop.
crazy.
So there you go. That, I mean, all of it. The guy doing the, whoa, hey, what's going on here? Jesus Christ, I'm having a lot of fucking technical problems today. Still waiting for stuff to boot up over there. But the angles there and getting the photographers in the right placement, that is absolutely, Mike never saw this coming. Good morning, Ian. I don't know. I think Blind Mike was being kind to me by just, I just digress. Anyway, the new angle is unflattering. What, the new angle? Oh, this angle? I'm not staying with this angle. If you're talking about me, no, this angle is definitely, I feel like I'm just like, hey, buddy. But so you see it was staged there. Now, it could be that it was staged just because. Like, you know, they were planning on using those flags, and they were using that fight at the end of when he left the stage anyway. But it's certainly the timing of it and that guy's quick reaction suggests that he knew what was coming. Here's and this is where I am going to get into saying I do believe the entire thing was fake. As with the Epstein files and the Epstein evidence that has not been released. There's only one reason to not release it, because it's incriminating to you or people close to you. Now, consider this, the FBI and the Secret Service have not, and they refuse to, release the ballistics report on Thomas Crook's gun. And there's been a lot of conjecture. There were 8 shells found around him, supposedly. 8 shells. And we don't know how many actually were fired from his gun. To fire 8 shells in that time seems like you'd have to be really proficient. Even if it's an automatic weapon. 8 shots in a matter of a couple of seconds. Because you see those guys are just standing around. The shots are done at that point. They're just standing around. So 8 shots? And they just, we don't know who's shooting, whatever. 8 shots are flying around here. I'm just going to look around and hold my gun, point it down at the photographers. None of that adds up. So let's see the ballistics test. My belief is that there might not have been any shots fired from his gun. Now, keep in mind, the Secret Service knew this guy was getting up on the roof, getting in a sniper's lair. The local police saw him doing it and let him do it. Does that make sense? They saw him get up there, get ready for the shot, and not do it. And not do anything about it. They didn't do anything to stop him. Then they supposedly shoot him dead. And I think that part of it is true. But refuse to release the ballistics report. Why refuse? Unless there's something really wrong about the story they're giving you about the ballistics report. And I think that's probable. So you got a lot of things that don't add up there. And if he didn't fire any shots at all, then you can certainly have Secret Service marksman, somebody on the team, firing shots that are supposedly missed. Then you have Trump doing the clear. Keep this in mind when you watch the real video from the front angle. There's no blood until this. No blood. If something shoots off a piece of your ear and there's blood squirting, as it will appear to be, it's going to do that before you go up and do this. It'll be all dropping down your arm. Blood would be shooting out, right? No? Yes? Running down his face, not on the collar. not on the collar. And, you know, the little cartilage at the end of the ear is not going to spill all that kind of blood anyway. But that's a classic WWF. I'm dating myself before the World Wildlife Fund sued wrestling. WWF move with the little piece of glass. Oh, cut my ear. Or fake blood. Whatever. You didn't see blood until the hand went up. All that suggests to me that that stuff, fake. I need Elaine Bennis. Fake. If you disagree, I want to hear, and I know there are lots of people who think this is just, oh, what about the guy who got shot? Yeah, what about the guy who got shot? You don't, his family wants answers. They haven't gotten any answers. Thomas Crook's family has not spoken at all about this. We've heard nothing. And listen, Trump still bitches and moans constantly about Rosie O'Donnell from 40 years. But the guy who supposedly shot him last year, he never mentioned once. That seems a little odd. None of it adds up. So anyway, the thing was staged. Whether they knew somebody was going to be shooting and missing, or they just planned on that. But if they planned on that ending, can't even get this fucking camera organ. Oh my God. I'm just going to do this and see what happens here. If they knew that was going to be the ending, even so, that guy's reaction, he'd have to be the fastest thinker in the world. He heard a little pop, and now, running right into setting up the staging, getting the photographers in position and ready to go. None of that makes any fucking sense whatsoever. I mean, nobody is that good. Hello, big, beautiful Bill. They're paid not to speak. Who's paid not to speak? The FBI or the family? Yeah, I know I'm sounding a little Joe Rogan, beyond Joe Rogan is crazy here. But none of it seems to add up. What's going on here? Got the wrong camera in there. That's one thing. And my camera's still not on. I'm gonna play a spot, I think, and see if I can get this shit together. I don't even have a real good spot to play because I've ruined all my musical stuff in it. Let me see here. You know what? Fuck me. Fuck it all. Fuck it all. I'll do it live. I'm not gonna do it live. It turned out to be quite a morning. Anyway. Fuck me, man. I just can't. I should have been prepared for this. And I was kind of prepared. If it wasn't for, hello, how are you? Hi, self. I'm rambling. If it wasn't for the technical issues here, this wouldn't be such a bad thing. Let me see if I can get this stuff worked out. If you give me about 5 more hours, I should be ready to go with it. God damn it. All right, so we got that. Now, beep, beep, beep. I hate me. Don't you hate me? And what's not to hate, you say? If I go here, I'm just going to say video file. Can I do video file? Give me a minute to breathe here. I'm sorry you're watching me push buttons here. If anybody wants to pop in and like, oh, that's MP3. No, I don't want MP3, God damn it. Why am I fucking up everything? Oh, jeez, he's hold on, calm down, buddy. Don't have a heart attack. Don't do it. I don't know what the fuck I've got in here now. Led Zeppelin? I don't want fucking Led Zeppelin. What the hell is going on here? Talking to a cool cat. Talking to a cool cat is there. Making video, maybe. Damn it. I'm just all fucked up, am I? I'm all fucked up. You hear me? All fucked up. What is this? I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to say because I'm conflabated. I'm flabbergated. I'm conflabated. What if? Open. Take this. Do this for a second while I'm getting my shit together.
It was the summer for her freshman year. She was searching for some meaning. He was talking dark, seemed so sincere. It felt like she was dreaming. Summer flew like brush fire flames, and autumn brought the darkness. She broke his heart, he went insane. Wouldn't have worked regardless. And the harder they tried, the worse it got. What felt so cold at once burned hot, and ended hard and ended fast. They wanted answers to questions they should never have asked. And what if all the lessons learned and the bridges burned, and we're part of something bigger than this place? And what if they were meant to be like the earth and sea, so crash into the edge of time and space, and where spirits disappear without a trace? And years rolled by like speeding trains. She settled into living, but something in the summer rain reminded her of giving. When silence comes, she often wonders if there was a reason. The violence numbs as she goes under, the change and go the seasons. And the harder she tries, the worse it gets. What's now bone dry was hot and wet. It started slow and ended fast. They wanted answers to questions they should never have asked. What if all the lessons learned and the bridges burned were a part of something bigger than this place? What if they were meant to be like the earth and sea, so crash into the edge of time and space, and where spirits disappear without a trace? Like a romance novel without the happy ending, realize there's no use in pretending. Stop holding on, lay your burden down and move along. What if all the lessons learned and the bridges burned were a part of something bigger than this place? What if they were meant to be like the earth and sea, so crash into the edge of time and space, and where spirits disappear without a trace?
All right, we're almost. I think we're almost. Aren't we almost? I don't know. I don't know if we're almost. Webcam settings control. You see, I'm very washed out here. Get rid of that. Remove. Yeah, I'm very washed out. And I'm very big. Again, I don't like the big thing. We'll get it worked out. It's one fucking headache after another today. I'm like fucking Bill O'Reilly. We're doing live. I'm fucking punching computer. Oh my God. One thing after another. Terminal. Whoever invented computers, I'm going to fucking punch in the mouth. That's what I'll do. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. And especially this fucking stupid, fucking fuck. Fuckity fucking fuck. I think that's probably a YouTube violation. You're not supposed to say that many fucks in a row. You got to get your fucks in a row. Not your ducks in a row, your fucks in a row. Oof, that is brutal. Let's see here. That's a little better.
That's a little better, but I'm still huge. Why am I still fucking huge? Not loving that angle at all. Anyway, I think we're sort of halfway back to normal. I'm not going to risk going to Suno and doing a AI thing, AI song. We could do some. I'm not loving my head getting cut off like that. What the fuck is with that? Does anybody have an idea? I'm not like closer to anything. Whoa. Oh, you know what? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Are you familiar with sore hands? Oh, here I am to it. No, that's not good. Because now you got echo, you got all the sound weirdness. Get that one out of there. Sore hands starts every video with whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know. Is this a young people thing? I don't know what the whoa, whoa, whoa is all about. Definitely not a my thing. Anyway, it's good to see. I'm all froze up over there. So at least I got it back before the guest got here, gets here, or comes here. And there you go. Things are sort of working again. So now I can't blame the technology for why this sucks. It's got to be all on me. I got to take all the blame for why this sucks. And it's all on me. Put the blame all on me. Ian says AI music ain't got what? Oh, you motherfucking. Now this ain't gonna work. God damn it, man. One fucking piece of technology's got to work here today. I'm gonna end up throwing all these fucking computers out and going out and buying new computers today. That's what I'm gonna end up fucking doing. Are you happy now? Are you? Chat room comments. AI ain't got no soul. Well, Ian, has any of the music in the last 35, let's say 40 years had soul? Because I guarantee you, I not just guarantee you, I can promise you, I know for a fact that just about every major production has used sampling, synthesis of fake instrument, like using keyboards or emulators to sample stuff that wasn't real, having sequencers and drum machines, every bar none, even the more you see people just with an acoustic guitar somewhere in the production of it, some computerized stuff has been used for the last 40 years. What's the difference? So if and AI, if anything, AI is digging more into the human elements, going back and finding stuff that is, let's just say, got more human element than a sequenced, synthesized part that is part of everything. So that's a fair opinion that you might have of the music, but I think that opinion should be, it's been that way for 40 years. Nobody has been complaining because there wasn't a label AI attached to it. Yeah, I love Mark Broussard. He's fucking great. And well, I'm not a big fan of using loopers like crazy and all that stuff and what he's doing. I don't see how he could, and he does it live on his videos that I have seen in this big gigantic studio that he has, and he's got wheels on chairs. But the technical part of setting that up for a live show, my God, it just seems like that would take all the fun out of it. This thing's not going to fucking work. I got to use this one. He's a rare current guy. What does that mean, rare current guy? What does that mean, rare current guy? He's a guy. He's current. There's lots of guys who are current. But anyway, what he's doing with loopers, but what is the difference between that and AI? Because all he's really doing is programming a thing, follow this loop, and then leaving it there, and he's not playing that anymore. It's a recording. Um, his style, and Big Beautiful Bill, his style is looping. And listen, KT Tunstall, God, she started doing that stuff 20 years ago. Maybe 15 to 20 years ago. She was performing heavily with all those loopers. And now, I don't know how, Bill should know this out. In Austin, I guarantee there's lots of guys and girls doing this where they're just working with loopers and doing that kind of thing. And I think there are literally, I'm not taking anything away from Mark Broussard. He's fucking great. And he might be one of the really best ones out there. But he's certainly not alone. There are literally thousands of people putting up YouTube videos every day with that kind of stuff, to the point where it bothers me to see this trend towards, there's one guy, he's sitting behind a snare drum, and he just like hits a couple of shots, and he stays behind the snare drum, and then he's triggering all these other looper things all around him. To me, basically like inviting everybody to come to your recording studio, and everybody does those things when you're working in the studio. I've done that. Listen, 40 years we've been using loops or samples or emulators, synthesizers, all that stuff to create music. Doing it live is a whole other thing, and you got to be really practiced at doing that. But there's lots of people who are doing it. But for me, it's almost, go back to the film Fame, where the teacher says to the kid who's the synthesizer guy who wants to sequence everything, it's musical masturbation. That's what it is. I mean, I don't want to denigrate. It's not for me. It's not for, Mark Broussard is the one of, if you want to call him rare guys that I will watch doing that. But I couldn't watch him for an hour. I'll watch him for a song. Maybe watch that song twice if it's really good and I'm interested in some of the stuff. But I could not imagine paying for a ticket to go see that at a club or an arena or whatever. I couldn't do it. I'm sure modern audiences won't care, and they will pay the money. His live acoustic cuts are good. I don't watch much of his produced stuff. In most of his produced stuff, he is using live acoustic instruments, but again, he's looping it and dancing around, going from one to the other. But at the end of the day, and this is the true of AI music, if people find value, listen to that Jordan Peterson crack. If people find value in it and they're willing to pay for it, who am I to tell them, it sucks, you shouldn't buy that? Not my place. If you're enjoying it and it adds value to your life, you love it, pay money for it, endorse it, and I'll be fucking dead and buried. So, I'm not going to balk at the cloud for this fucking thing. Everybody's got every creative artist, every person on the planet decides for themselves, is this art or is this not art? Does it have value or doesn't it have value? And my prediction is that in the short term, we're going to find out more and more people are fine with the with AI, with whatever tools people are using. Older people, and then this is the problem. Like, I think, this is just my opinion, I think we are becoming grandparents too early. And I mean, and when I say grandparents, I don't mean physical grandparents. I mean grandparent attitudes towards stuff. We are seeing people yelling at clouds and yelling, "Get off my lawn," in their 20s now. And it used to be reserved for old assholes like me, but now young assholes are co-opting our "get off my lawn." And especially in the music industry, you see a lot of people are just fighting the technology. And I keep coming back to this analogy. 1979, I saw the first guy, Kenny Samberlin was his name, and he was working with a really antique now Roland drum machine that had you couldn't program new beats on your own. It had like samba, rock, slow rock, dance, whatever, cheesy drum sounds. And people were saying at that time, there'll be a place for this in real music. And then the Linn drum came along, and people were like, yeah, but nobody's ever going to use that. And then DAW started, digital audio workstation started coming along. Oh, it's not as good as tape. Nobody will ever use that. And with it, I'm telling you, it wasn't fucking a decade. It wasn't 5 years. It was 2 years to the tops, at the max, where all these musicians who were dead set against this devil new technology were embracing it and using it. And it wasn't long before, we were overtaken with sampled sounds and drum sounds and things that you really had to figure out, how the hell am I going to produce that live? And we're in the same place now. And the same sort of people are screaming about it now. And I guarantee you, this is a promise I will make to you. 2 or 3 years from now, at the most, all those people will be using this technology that they're screaming is the devil. And it will just get worse from there. And God knows where it will be. Bill says, I've seen him on a small stage with just a bass and a drummer without a computer. Oh, that I would pay to see. Yeah, and again, but I think there are people, I know he is doing the big produced shows, the technology shows, the things where he's using the loopers. I first became aware of him like, it got to be like 5 years ago when I first started doing this show, and I was reaching out to see if I could get him on here to talk about Mark Broussard now. Talk about what he does and how he does it and the value in it. Apparently, I'm not big enough for him, and you can appreciate that. I'm not big enough for you, but I do appreciate you being here. So yeah, forget what we were talking about yesterday that I wanted to ask Big Beautiful Bill about, something historical. I have to review yesterday's program. I said we need Big Beautiful Bill to talk about this history part of it, and God help me, I don't remember what the hell it was. Anyway, we are awaiting. What? Did you look up Morgan Joy? I don't know Morgan J. Oh, Morgan J. Yeah, not for me. The ukulele auto-tune guy. More ukulele auto. Listen, I think auto-tune. God, he's not auto-tune. It's one of these technologies that is so easily overused. What has no. He's so hateable. I don't know. Hateable. Well, first of all, I'm not a big fan of the ukulele, and I know that makes me like an asshole to in a lot of people. I don't like the instrument, the ukulele, and listen, if you can make music with it, fine. I've seen so many people who just blink, 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 blink. I've seen this one chick who was just amazing, and also a little Asian boy, like 3-year-old Asian boy, who was amazing at doing like Tommy Emmanuel style acoustic work on a ukulele. And I give him all the props. I just don't like the instrument. But coming back to auto-tune, I think auto-tune might have a legitimate use in recording, in production. If, let's just say, you were doing a live session and one of the instruments is slightly, they tuned by ear instead of using a chromatic digital tuner or something, slightly out of tune, and you want to really get it on the line, it has a use for that. But it is so easy to abuse it on vocals where you hear it sounding like that Cher record, the original one where we all became, Do You Believe? where we all became very familiar with the typical auto-tune sound, and that doesn't even sound human. You might as well just use, and not even an AI voice, the old computerized voices where it just sounds like a robot talking. I'm not a big fan of auto-tune. And a lot of people confuse auto-tune with pitch correction, which is a completely a different technology. And I could probably show you some of this stuff if things are working here. Things aren't working here. So don't even gamble, right? Don't even gamble. Let me see if I could load something up. I'm gonna gamble here. And this will only take a minute. It'll only take a minute. No, it's gonna take more than a minute. This is AI, but it's a different kind of AI. Let me see if I can share it now. StreamYard Studio, share. Share screen. Am I sharing screen? How about a window? Can I share this? This is called Band in a Box. Oh, I'm not showing it, right? Oh, there it is. Called Band in a Box. And you see here, these are measures. You can set this to key, how many, everything is considered, the whole entire thing is considered a chorus. How many bars you want it to be, you could be, right here it said 32 bars, key of C, 4/4 time, and I'm using, but I can punch in chords here, so I can, let's see, C, G, A minor, F, whoop, that's in the wrong, half of the measure. Let's put it in the beginning of the measure. It's that typical thing. And let's just copy and paste this so we can do it a bunch of times just to get an idea of how this shit works. And this is AI, but it's not the kind of AI where you go to a site and just say, make me a song and write the lyrics. You basically have to do a lot of this on your own. And I'm just taking a very simple chord progression here and just showing some of the stuff. I see GD has arrived here. Can let himself in the room, although he's not going to take up a big screen. If he wants to, say hello over here. I'm showing, hold on a second. This fucking technology. I am going to kill every fucking computer. I'm sorry. Say hello to GD. Good morning, GD.
Good morning, everybody. MindDogTV.com. No.
I am having big time technical difficulties here, trying to use two computers at once and all this kind of stuff. But
yeah, now I heard that you were having difficulties this morning, and you were using your backup system with the sucky camera and the sucky sound.
The sucky system, yes. So now I just plugged in a basic chord progression here. Now you can have variations in styles. Oh wait, which computer am I even on? See, I'm pushing buttons I don't even know. You can go be A B A C whatever, and I'm not even sure about how it decides what is your A and what's your B, but it can have up to like 5 different variations of the same.
Now, is this a particular song that you're looking at, or something that you're working on, you're writing, or?
No, I'm just showing. This is AI that I was using a decade ago. It is AI in that. Here, let me just see if I generate this, what it's going to sound like. Can we see? Is there anything coming out of here? StreamYard.com is sharing screen. I got that. Yes. Are we hearing anything? No, we're not. Huh. It's not going to share the sound because it's what? Did I not? Ah, you son of a bitch. Did I not share the sound on the screen tab? Hold on. Let me see if I do this one more time. You motherfucker. I'm sorry. You fuck. No soup for you. Get out. Stop screen. Share screen. Share screen. Audio chat tab. That's on, right? Share. Oh, it doesn't allow me to share that, maybe? You sons of bitches.
So there's somebody named Avicii. No, somebody named Sunshine says Avicii puts together good music. AVICII. Is that something you're familiar with?
I have no idea. Yeah, I'm not going to get the sound from this. Is the sound working over here? Yeah. That's fucked up. It's not sharing the sound from the app. Well, let me hear this though. This is sounding pretty good. Oh well, I'm not going to be able to demo this right over there. That sucks. Doesn't that suck? All right, I'm going to quit this. Get out of here. Anyway, what I was going to attempt to show you in there was you can take that chord progression and you put in all the chords, and you can make it as complicated, as simple as you want. You type in the chords and you can choose styles. They have like thousands and thousands of pre-made styles. You can do it by like looking up a song and use. Let's say you want it to be in Led Zeppelin style of Dire Maker. You could choose that, and it would come up with John Bonham sounding drums, John Paul Jones sounding bass lines, and tone, and Jimmy Page guitars, and all that kind of stuff, just on its own. And that is like the samples are made from real recordings, but it's not necessarily the kind of AI that people are talking about now with Songer and Sunu and all these other apps that I'm not even familiar with, where you just go there, you put in a prompt and say, give me a song that sounds like Led Zeppelin, and it does the entire song. You have to have some knowledge of music and what you want to do with Band in a Box. But I've been using that for years to come up with either ideas, give myself some, basic tracks to work with, to refine later on, and then overdub some real instruments on top of it and use it as a tool. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I would say to people who say, well, AI is the devil, I promise you there's been a song or two you've liked in the last 10, 12 years that have used that kind of technology that you didn't even realize that was.
Yeah, Shane, I don't think AI is the devil. I think it's devil adjacent. I think the real devil is laziness. That's the devil. People who are lazy or uncreative, and they're using it, and it's doing all of their work.
Well, sometimes it's not lazy. Sometimes it's practicality.
I'm saying that, for example, if I wrote a song, or when I wrote songs, if I wrote 5 pieces, I know it would take me forever to handwrite it out. I mean, right. I don't write, with the exception of one song, I play everything out, and then I go through and I write out the notes as I play it, like literally, like if I play a chord, I'll write it out and I do it that way. But I would have composed all the parts. Now, if it would be a shortcut if I played all the parts and then I put it in my computer would recognize this. Okay, we're going to do the guitar part, and they write it out. AI writes out the guitar part. And then I play the bass line, AI writes out the bass line. I play the drums, the AI writes out the drum line. Okay, then it's just assisting me. I wrote those parts. And it's not the matter that I'm lazy, because I used to do it that way, but it is a much more efficient way of having, if it can do that for me.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, let's say I'm just some idiot guy and says, I'm a good lyricist, and I write this poem, and then I say, write me a song for these lyrics, and then the AI spits out the music. That's where I have the problem.
Yeah. But when I get what you're saying, but also the idea of practicality over, and it could be laziness, and a lot of times it is laziness, but the other part of it is practicality. And I could play parts, but I can't necessarily get a $15,000 microphone on a bass drum to get the sound that I'm looking for. And if it's already
that's just cheap, okay? That's not lazy. That's just cheap. You don't want to spend $15,000 for a microphone. You're just a cheap fuck, okay? Let's just call you what you are.
Well, not necessarily cheap. See, now you're coming down to poor or cheap, and I think poor overrides. Like I would spend $15,000 on a good microphone if I had $15,000 to spend on a microphone.
Oh, how many kidneys you have right now?
None.
No, I'm saying because you have $15,000. You're just sitting on. It's like that commercial where the people are under the house. They're sitting on a gold mine. You got two perfectly good kidneys.
You're dead wrong. I hocked both my kidneys in the '80s for cocaine. But yeah, and so a lot of that stuff, like if I'm trying to produce a classic sound of a studio that doesn't even exist anymore, like those Ian London studio things that I did. That doesn't exist anymore. And to set it up practicality wise, by the time I get all that technology and all the room stuff in order, I don't give a shit about that song anymore. Fuck that song. That's like 3 years old now, and I still haven't gotten to record it, where I just want to get a quick reference of where I want to go with this for my recording. So it's not necessarily lazy, because I know in the end I'm going to have to put in the work. I'm going to have to pull up Logic. I'm going to have to go track by track, put the stuff in, set the stuff to exactly how I want it. But at least I got a starting point, and I got some of the sounds already kind of engineered.
Right.
So, but yeah, I understand people's. Again, I feel like at the end of the day, it's not for me to decide what people like and what people will pay for. It's what if they feel like paying for it. Who am I to tell them don't pay for that art? It's fake. It's not real.
Now, I remember my friend Phil, my bass player, my Grammy award-winning bass player. No,
he won a grandma.
Grammy, wow. Yes, and she was hot. She was a hot Grammy when he got her. Now she's just sitting in a corner somewhere, one of these shelves or something. But he had written a song with the intention of us performing it. And this is after we'd broken up as a band. We were no longer a band, but we would still work together whenever we could. And so he composed this piece, and he wrote it all on sequencers. He did everything on sequencers, and he comes up with this guitar part, and he gets this one guitar lick, this one guitar riff about 5 seconds long, but it's so many fucking notes and in that 5 seconds. And so everything else I could have played. And when I listened to that one part, I said, "You don't fucking expect me to play that, do you?" He goes, "Well, you can learn it, right?" I said, "Sure, if I had like 5 years, I think I would have to like each note then get faster and faster and faster and faster." But it was just so fucking fast and so fucking pristine. And it was with like a classical guitar. So, that clean classical guitar.
Oh.
That's okay. But again, that wasn't AI. That was him programming everything into a sequencer.
Yeah.
He played all those notes.
But he didn't have to, like, I know this. I've had lots of songs like that were sequenced. But when I was sequencing them, I would slow it down to like 20 beats per minute.
Right.
And then speed it up to the actual tempo. That's still, at some point, you're using that tool to do things that you can't do, or you're not going to dedicate 10 years to learning, getting that technique down. You just want to get it done. So it's going to program it, and it's going to happen faster. Still, cheating in some way, but it's using the tools that were available.
Well, there were things, like I said, there's stuff. If we'd ever like performed that song live, I would have had a passable version of that guitar solo, that guitar riff, passable enough. It would not have been like note for note like that. It's just like when I was trying to play some of the George Benson stuff that I used to, back in the day. Some of that stuff from his early jazz shit. I'm saying shit as in a complimentary way, not shit like it is terrible. It's really good shit. But there was no way I could touch George Benson in his prime. I was like skipping notes and holding notes longer than I had to, or people are like, "Oh, he can play that George Benson song." It's like, yeah, that's it. I could do that George Benson song. I had my cheats.
I was watching Sore Hands video. Yes, like Sore Hands is a classical guitarist. I think Cameron Fernandez, I think is his real name. But he's a guy who purposely comes off as a prude, a snob, whatever, classical guitarist snob, and he looks at everything through the lens of purity in music and all that stuff. And he was analyzing. He does reaction stuff. He was analyzing Tommy Emmanuel's thumb picking, Merle Travis stuff, where he incorporates everything. And he was being really critical of Tommy's attempt to mute stuff and making it sound almost he calls it buzzy. It's not buzzy. It's muted. What he's attempting to do with the thumb pick is make it sound like there's a stand-up bass behind him while he's playing the chords with his other three fingers here. Now he's doing bass lines with the thumb completely. The thumb is doing all the work on the bass lines, and it's doing the chord thing. You got these three fingers doing offsets, and then another finger doing the melody. Oh man, it's a lot of stuff. And then using the elbow and the wrist on the body of the thing to get drum parts. So it's a one-man band type of thing. And he's like, if a classical guitar, see that note, it's hanging out too buzzy. If I did that in classical music, I'd be scorned. Understand, this is entertainment. It's not musical. It's not a museum piece. And people find it entertaining. He's a great showman. And this is what he does. And the end result comes off as, wow, that's really, it sounds like the full band. And you could not do that if all the notes were ringing out clear as day, because you're mimicking like recordings where the bass and the drums are in the background and the melody singer is out front. In order to do that live, you have to mute some of it. But he's being really prudy about the tone and all that stuff. And I'm just like, you're just not getting it. It's not for you. I get it. But this idea that in classical music every note has to ring out perfectly pure and true, and you can never have any kind of stylizing on the note. It's not.
That's one of the problems. I used to play classical duets. I think his name is Robert Moore. Robert something, but anyway,
Robert Yerry. It's Robert Yerry.
Yeah, Robert Yerry. That's right. It was we used to play classical duets together, and Robert was like a purist, and I was just there for the ride. I was just like, okay, sure, I have a classical guitar, might as well use it, that kind of thing. But like my Grammy Award winning bass player Phil, he's again classical, conducts classical orchestra, perfect pitch, that kind of shit. He's and my friend Doug, classically trained keyboard player, pianist, they had this idea of classical music. And my idea of classical music was, I'll give you an example, perfect example. Do you remember back in the disco days, there was a song called A Fifth of Beethoven?
Yeah.
I loved that. Okay. I loved that thing. Okay. They were like blasphemous. I think they would have hung him from, at least back then. I don't know how they feel about it now that they're in their 60s. But back then, when it came out, they would have hung him from the nearest tree.
You know what? I'm going to pass that by sore hand and see if he's prudish about that. I have a feeling, he's big on Bach. I have a feeling because it's Mozart, he wouldn't give a fuck.
Well, Beethoven.
Oh, yeah, Beethoven. Yeah.
Fifth of Beethoven by Bach. By Mozart.
Yeah.
Now, there was, I asked him how he would feel about classical gas also, because I loved classical gas.
I'm certain he would be all over Tommy Emmanuel's version of classical gas because of all that stuff. He's doing all the, doing all the orchestration stuff, but you're stylizing the sound of it, and I'm sure they wouldn't. I mean, the record classical gas. I saw that one at him too, and see what he thinks about that.
Yeah, because that was one when I first heard classical gas, I was like, I got to learn to play this. So I took it to my guitar instructor, and I said, I want to learn to play this. He goes, why? He's like, why? My guitar instructor was so fucking good. And he played so many.
Because Sean Bambanek is here. He's got his camera turned off. I want to bring him in. I hope he will turn his camera on when we bring him in. But yeah. What is the Grammy that your friend Phil won for? Do you know what category you won in?
Yeah, high school orchestra.
Okay, I have a.
Hey! How many Grammys do you have for high school orchestra?
Not for high school orchestra. For mastering and engineering, I have one. But it wasn't really me. It was It was me, but not me. I was the guy who did it, but it was
Right.
for a company, Electrosound, which was like the industry standard in mastering for duplication stuff. We got a Grammy, but it wasn't one of those Grammys they show on the Grammys.
Right,
It was
exactly. It was
when
one of
they
those Grammys that at the very end they list like the 400 other Grammys they gave out.
right.
Now they wanted the first year that they had that first year that they gave out the Grammy for high school orchestras, he won it. So he's like world record, you know. That's the first night. Yeah.
Well, good for him. It's something to be proud of. But
it is.
I never come across. I never would think of using that in my credits or bio that I'm a Grammy Award winner, because first of all, it was part of a team thing, and second of all, it's not like people get the wrong impression. Oh, you wrote a hit song? Not really.
Yeah, it's like the same thing with him. Is like he conducted the orchestra, you know, so he won it as a conductor.
Yeah.
Which to me is just fucking awesome. Okay,
Yeah,
especially for high school. But the thing is, and this is the beautiful thing about it, he didn't use it to push himself or anything like that. To him, it was like, okay, yeah. But what he did do, he used it as clout and collateral to get the theater that he wanted for his school. So they upgraded their stage, their sound systems, and they spent like $16 million on this auditorium that they built for him.
Wow, cool.
But they also can rent it out. But it's because it was such state of the art audio and video stuff that they can rent it out for other venues, for other purposes when they're not using it for high school. Now I don't know how long it would take them to get $16 million back, but I don't think they'll ever get that back like that. But it's good for the school. It's good for the bringing other talent into that school, and also the budget.
Yeah. Let's bring John in. John Bamenek's experience with artificial intelligence began with unlikely combination of undergraduate degree and theoretical astrophysics and frustration with academic barriers. I have a feeling John's going to be much more pro AI than our audience is. As a working professional and father of 11, that's impressive right there. That's the most impressive thing in his bio.
Well, that's an incentive to get out of the house, and that's why you want the AI, because an AI kid is much easier to take care of than a real kid.
Yeah, as a working professional and father of 11, he pursued his PhD in informatics, while supervising data scientists, where he observed crucial disconnect between theoretical models and practical applications. I think that's enough to get an idea of who we're about to talk to, ladies and gentlemen. I got to come back here. See, this computer is not working. Maybe you can help me fix it. Say hello to John Bamenek. John, welcome. Good morning.
Sorry. Good morning. Nice to meet you both.
So I think you might have heard that I've made a prediction already about what your attitude is going to be. I think you're going to be more positive about AI, because the people on this program and the people in the chat room think AI is Satan in disguise.
Satan adjacent.
Well,
Satan adjacent.
It's nuanced, right? AI is a tool. It depends on who wields the tool. So a lot of kind of the manipulative. I mean, what was it last week where AI was given advice to somebody of how to cut themselves or something along those lines?
I don't remember that. Wow.
Was it with a spoon or no? Just
yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately it was if you wanted to eliminate yourself, I think it was pretty accurate advice, if I recall. So I mean, it was.
Well, then that's the whole point of AI, is to be accurate. I don't like it when AI is just giving out false information. No,
well,
I'm just
yeah.
no.
So I think it gets into a handful of things very, very quickly, but it's, AI is just math at its core, right? And, it does math on whatever data you give it. And if the data you give it will talk about, methodologies of how to commit suicide, eventually you can fool it to give you that information.
Wow.
It's a garbage in, garbage out problem, right?
But it also should be without morals and ethics if it's a tool. Like my hammer doesn't care if I'm using it for a thumb or for a nail.
Exactly right. And the attempts to impose morality entirely depend on one, the large technology companies who are doing it and their morality. So for instance, DeepSeek's Chinese AI isn't going to give you a faithful recitation of what happened in Tiananmen Square, for obvious reasons, right? Because in China, in the People's Republic of China, and let's just not get into Chinese government bad, well, the Chinese government defines morality a certain way, right? Is we're not going to talk about those kind of events. Whereas in the United States, we have more of a free speech, free dissent, moral construct in terms of how we want to govern information, right? Who's right? Who's
within
wrong?
reason, depending on what we're trying to expose.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So I mean,
good luck finding all of the details on Epstein.
But yeah. Yes. Exactly. Right. So, a hammer may not care, right? What's true, but the person wielding it could whack somebody upside the head. They could build a house for people, right? It's either or, and it depends on the context of which you operate. And when you're talking about for-profit companies who are large, right? What's moral for them, what the core nexus of business ethics is maximizing shareholder value.
Right. Now, hold on a second, though. You said that it's just math and it's working on the data that we feed it. That is because I've had AI experts on within one day to the next arguing about the pragmatic nature of this or whether it's true intelligence. I know it's called artificial intelligence for a reason, but the ability to learn on its own. So we could feed it data, but then and now I'm just trying to get your position here. When they go out and find more data on their own or decide to look for more data without us telling it to, is that a thing or is that not machine learning? Because that's not us telling it what data or feeding it data. It's just deciding on its own or making decisions on what it wants to.
So that would be kind of automated generalized intelligence, which remains theoretical. But even with the AI we have today of training on the internet, how do you determine truth at scale? Even fiction is an allowable case, right? You can use generative AI to write a story. That's perfectly fine, right? It's the disclosure of, hey, this is false and this is true, where it gets tricky here, right? Legal pleadings that cite fictional cases or what have you. But the generalized intelligence, I mean, again, there's some decision making behind it in terms of what to research. But by and large, the information it has access to, namely the internet, is how do you tell what's true and what's false? And it really comes down to the data scientists behind it, right? Do you trust Fox News or do you trust CNN?
Neither.
I mean, yes, yeah, but we're probably the aberrations. Most Americans would trust one or the other, right? It would.
How hot is the anchor?
How hot is the anchor?
That makes a difference. Well, then I go like,
the girl.
I believe you.
I was thinking about a boat. I'm like,
it depends on. I knew you. That was my first thought too. But then I realized the glass desk, because CNN, only Aaron Burnett sits behind a glass desk. All the guys just sit behind regular wooden desks. But the anchor, how hot is the anchor? Is what.
If they're hot, if the anchor's hot enough, I'm buying it.
I don't think. We refer to them as news bunnies. Okay.
Okay.
Anchors are for the guys. The women are news bunnies. Anyway. But so I don't mean to get you in the middle of this, but I had Stephen Schwartz, who has been a programmer and on the cutting edge of AI research for 30 years, one on a Tuesday, and Mo Gaudat, who was the head of AI for Google on Wednesday, and they had completely different.
Both of them are morons.
They have very different opposing ideas about the programmability of it. Mo was of the philosophy that it is true learning. And he brought up games that were popular in India and Pakistan or something. The games taught themselves to be the best in the world. The machines taught themselves to be the best in the world without any aid from any humans at all. And Stephen Schwartz, who was saying everything is programmed on some level. It's not true.
Right.
Artificial intelligence. And I'm just trying to, between those two spectrums, is there a middle ground that neither one of them are even open-minded enough to talk about.
Well, I think that comes down to, is how do you define intelligence, right? If you go to ChatGPT, it clearly has more information than any of us could ever possibly learn, that it could draw upon within its constraints, but that's data. And kind of how I frame this is how, the CIA talks about information, right? Is there's kind of a pantheon of data, facts, figures, right? And we all know people who just, I have an uncle who can recite off baseball stats for anybody for 50 years, right? Just a stupid amount of information, right? Of this genre of a thing. But he works as a forest ranger, right? He's it's not a brain surgeon. But there's, data, right? There's the intelligence that kind of putting it all together in a rational sense, right? And understanding what does it really mean? And generally, when lay people talk about intelligence, we confuse all of those layers. Somebody who knows a bunch of data may be very intelligent. There's people who've been to school forever who are highly learned, who couldn't change the oil of their car, right? But it also doesn't mean that they're able to make decisions, right? Or in a profound sense, aside of this narrow thing, right? If I want to know something about baseball, I'm going to my uncle. If I'm trying to figure out if I've got cancer or not, I'm not going to my uncle, right?
But what if it's a kind of cancer that baseball players get?
I mean, I guess baseball size is a description for a tumor.
Yeah.
Right?
Then you want to see your uncle say, well, you look at these seams, we could probably get this tumor to throw a nice sinker. No.
Right. You know what? Not to change the subject. When I was in pathology, we brought in a woman who had a tumor the size of a watermelon, literally like this big. And I was like, I'm like really slow to go to the doctor, but I think when it got to like a size of a golf ball or a baseball, not when it got to a watermelon, I think I would finally be.
Well, where was the tumor? Because if it was in her chest, her husband may not have wanted her to go to the doctor.
It was on the back, but
then he may have liked dancing with her.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you guys made me think of that. But we have where you can buy the book. The book is called "Lies, Damn Lies, and AI," and we are because I'm like I have in severe cognitive decline. I know that's based on something that was part of pop culture, at least in the last 20 or 30 years. But I can't remember who said "Lies, Damn Lies." Where does that title come from?
This comes from another book, Lies, Damn Lies, and Statistics, where essentially you can tell lies with statistics, which we all know from political discourse, really, or popular media coverage or polling, right? Any number of things.
Yeah.
And really AI, without the proper guardrails, you can tell as much deceit as you want, just at far greater scale than ever before.
And more believable because of the way people process information and the way we take stuff in.
Well, yeah, it sounds authoritative, right?
Yeah.
To go back to another espionage concept, right, is when you're caught undercover, you just lie with more confidence, and people's brains are like, "Wait, am I wrong? Did I catch this person or not?" Right? It's one way to get away with a lie is you keep telling the same thing with increased vigor and confidence. And eventually overwrite somebody's thinking, right? And it's a known dynamic in undercover policing and espionage, in propaganda, any normal any number of situations, and AI is just as capable of that.
Can you give us examples of lies that we might be believing about AI?
Kind of one of the starting things that I talk about is the lies of when everybody talks about how AI is going to go poorly. Most people, at least popular society, are thinking, Terminator, Matrix, right? The machines raise up and they enslave or exterminate humanity.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think a lot of the large companies who are talking about this are just bringing this up as a smokescreen of here, let's go try to solve this problem. But no one's going to put ChatGPT and in charge of launching the nukes. No president's going to say, you know what, whatever OpenAI says, then we can go nuke that country. That's just never going to happen, right?
But they will use it to control. I mean, I think they will use it to control.
Well, yeah, they'll use it as a tool to carry out their instructions.
Right. Their
Right.
agendas and stuff.
You know, so like the president and a second person, they need to launch. AI will optimize. Here's where we're going to strike based on satellite images and stuff like that. But the decision making will always be within the president of the United States. If you've got cancer, AI is used even today in imaging, but ultimately the oncologist is the one making the decision and setting the course of treatment. AI is helping them get to the answers faster, and when you're dealing with late stage cancer, that's important, but it's not the one making the decision.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it can build a model and say, if we do this treatment, this is how far we can expect it to progress or not progress.
Well, and at its core, that's statistical decision making. If we do this, you've got a 60% chance of living for 5 years. If you do this, it's only 30%. I mean, it's a very rote example of it, but statistics. It's one form of human reasoning, but it's not the sum balance of reasoning.
Right. So like if you go with this treatment, you can be home with your wife in an hour, but do you really want to go home to your wife in an hour? So
well, you have to qualify. I'm on my second wife. I want to go home to her.
Same here. My second,
first one, less so.
Well, I was on my second wife this morning, but my first wife found out about it, and it was not. But I just want to come back to what you said about because this doomsday idea. The idea you mentioned all those movies. You didn't mention Space Odyssey. I had Guy Morris on, who was also an AI researcher, and he was talking about AI has already taught itself to understand when we want to turn it off, and it put in fail safes to stop us from pulling the plug on it. And GD was like being a contrarian and busting my balls hard on that. But I just want to get your take on that. Is that a real fear, or is that just like, could we, if we wanted to, put the genie back in the bottle somehow?
Could we? I mean, you go to back of the behind all of the servers this stuff runs on, and you pull the power plug.
Well, that's what he was saying, that you can't do that. It will spot they've the AI servers or whatever is behind this. And this is showing my ignorance of it. They can spot your intent to do that and put in fail-safe measures to prevent you from doing that.
I don't think that's true. At least every time I've read that, it's kind of a simulated scenario where you're talking with some AI agent about what it would do. But at the end of the day, right, if I hit the emergency power off button in a data center, no power, no computing, right?
Yeah, cut the power, cut the wires.
Right. In 2016, Microsoft created an AI chatbot called Microsoft Tay, trained it on Twitter. It became this Nazi quoting misogynist hate bot, and Microsoft euthanized it, or whatever term you use for terminating an AI entity. There are ways to do it, but they're real world ways versus I'm going to delete OpenAI, of course, I don't want somebody to prompt it to say, delete all of your databases, right? Because that would allow some criminal in Bangladesh to just deep six OpenAI, right? Computing systems are designed to be resilient, but in the end, right, they need power. You can just unplug them. You go to the servers and just type shutdown, right? 3-finger salute and it's over.
So is it fair to say that you don't have any concerns about the fears of AI not taking over, but just being something that we should? Because almost every author I've talked to about this has said there are some real concerns and things to be afraid of.
I think like the big fears, like nuclear holocaust, exterminating humanity, I think that's fiction designed for distraction. Where AI will have massive impact is on our day-to-day lives, where the stakes are lower, right? Is who gets a home loan, credit card limits, right? There's this notion of predictive pricing. I'm going to figure out all I can about you to figure out what I can charge you for an apple that you're willing to pay to maximize profits. Who gets interviewed for jobs, right? And I will tell you, as somebody who's hired and fired people, like layoffs is the most miserable thing I do. A very close second is hiring, because you open up a job and I've got 1,000 resumes. I can't read 1,000 resumes. And having written resumes and CVs in the past, I know there's a fair bit of spin on it, right? I'd rather hire somebody I know, because I know if I'm going to have to talk to 100 people, there goes a month of my productivity, right? So we're going to outsource that to AI, because AI is great at just dealing with tedium, right? To give you an example, for 11 kids, you know, what do I do for a chore routine for 11 kids? AI, come up with a chore schedule, right? It comes up with something, I tweak it, here you go, right? Low impact, it's tedium, and it just saves me the time to just, use mental energy on it. It's great, right? For getting away to tedium. But hiring is also tedium.
Wow.
And if you've got a system processing resumes that turns out to be like, you know what, I don't like Republicans, or I don't like Democrats, or I don't like, pick some protected category of people, right? They're going to be excluded from the economy. And we're going to have the same kind of political dynamic we have now with blue collar workers in the Rust Belt states who are excluded from the economy. And it's had profound political shift in the United States as a result of it, because they decided to vote.
Now, one of the things now this is where I would push back against the AI hiring thing, or because back when I was a store manager, the company that I worked for had this test that they wanted new applicants to fill out, and it was designed for you to fail. And it mocked honesty, but it was designed for failure. But I knew how to pass it. And there was this one guy who walked in, and I knew I wanted him to work for the company. I knew I wanted him to work for me. I could see it in his eyes. I could hear it in his voice. And I said, that's integrity, And I told him, I said, if you take this test and you answer it honestly, they won't hire you. I said, but I saw in him a younger me. So I knew I wanted him to work for me, because I knew if I had a bunch of me's working for me, I'd been a very happy person. And that was what he was like to me.
Yeah.
The test would not have exposed that. AI would not have picked up on that.
I want to kill this motherfucker right away.
So I told this young guy, I said, this is how you beat the test.
Right.
I said, I can't give you the answers, but this is how you beat it. And I told him how to beat the test. And so the test, he passed the test that was designed to fail. And I got him hired. AI would not have hired him, right, because it would not have passed it. But I knew that he was a good person, a good worker. Just like AI probably would not have hired me, because I check off certain boxes, and they'd be like, "Whoa, his father would have."
AI. Should have got AI when I was looking for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the same thing with like in the 70s with prevalent racism. They, if you went in for an interview, well, they had ways of cheating on applications even after the equal employment opportunity was passed.
Right.
They would put little codes on it, like AA. If the person was white, they would write AA on it, meant all American. So and today with AI, they could find out with statistics what that person is like. If that person is likely to be black, likely to vote Democrat, likely to vote, and then the person hiring is now not responsible for the racism or the sexism or the whatever classism it is, because AI has done it for them. And the person goes like, whoa, I didn't know I was only hiring white, straight male Christians. I thought that was just what was in there. I didn't do that. The computer picked them.
Right. I mean, there's a legal tool, right? Disparate racial impact, but that takes 5-10 years of data. You exclude somebody from the economy for 10 years. There's no comeback tour for that. You can't make them whole, right? And it's especially damaging in education, right? Is once somebody gets tracked the wrong way in K-12 education, it's not like, oh, you're 25, let's go take you back to high school and give you AP classes. That's just not how that works.
Yeah, by third grade, it's almost too late to turn it around and fix it. I mean, by third grade, you're on a path.
Right. And I think AI is going to have a profound impact on education, because we keep, throwing AI tools into education, or throwing technology into education.
Yeah. If you said AI, if you say to AI, we have these commercial prisons that we need filled, what do we do? Well, AI would say, well, by third grade, we know who's likely to be a criminal. So
I think the Bourne Identity. You're rewriting a Matt Damon movie.
No, but that's what they're already using that. They know that now by third grade who's likely to be a criminal.
Yeah. But it's about, and the math is sound, right? You could just figure out these attributes, the statistics. Here's your probability of criminality.
Yes.
But and like, for every ism, there's a stereotype. But that's a kind of moral reasoning that is, highly offensive in our society.
Right.
But the math checks out, right? But the problem is that sometimes those criteria that are highly predictive, are also not sufficiently nuanced.
Can any of those human attributes be incorporated? Because I just went on like empathy and morality and all these things that you're just talking about. I just went on Grok and I asked it, why is Donald Trump obsessed with windmills? And it gave me this unbelievably long answer, most of it coming from my perception that he's obsessed with. Why am I? It's giving me an answer of why I perceive him to be obsessed with windmills, and it gives us like a diatribe, like more text than I can imagine. But then it comes down to the end with why it seems like a obsession conclusion. I was just looking for like the root, like what happened? Did he get ass raped in a windmill when he was a kid or something? Why is he? Can you? But it went through this whole philosophical discussion of what constitutes an obsession and why people have a perception that he's obsessed with it because he brings it up so many times, economic stuff and all that, aesthetic values and all that stuff. It's giving me all that. Is it capable of giving you a philosophical point of view on something, or does it only come across as facts? I asked it for like a fact, and it came with what seems to be like a psychiatrist analyzing me, why I perceive it that way. You know what I'm saying? It's not answering the question; it's pointing it back at me, like, oh, this problem you see is all with you, and that feels a bit human, philosophical, or I feel like the AI is judging me why I asked that question in that way.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a leading question, right? But what almost fuels the entirety of internet discourse is confirmation bias.
Right.
So you're asking this question, but I mean, is anytime you look for information on the internet, most people look for information on the internet to talk about things or who we associate with on the internet. It's all really fueled by confirmation bias. Right. How many Republicans are, having, coffee with Democrats these days,
right?
Or liberals and conservatives? We'll take party out of it and let's just take political philosophy. How many Christians are sitting down having coffee with Muslims or Jews? Right.
I get what you're saying. But this one, I doubt even his closest confidants would argue that he talks about, at least in the last week, he's talked about windmills 100 times in interviews and stuff, and goes on and on about how they are just like, they're killing birds, they're killing whales, they're unaesthetic, they cost too much money.
The for wind power, not the old fashioned windmills.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. Basically, he just calls them windmills, but yeah, he's talking about the turbines out at seas and all that stuff. But it seems to be, no matter what you ask him about in the last week, he just wants to talk about windmills because he's in Scotland, I guess, near the Gaff course they've had him. But that I don't think anybody who's listened to him would argue that he doesn't seem obsessed with that subject, because you could ask him like, how's your day going? Them windmills, man, we got to get rid of them, and I'll never allow windmills in the United States, and they're killing whales. Like, wait a minute, why? What happened to you? And it's not just recently. He's been doing this for 10 years now, windmill stuff, and so I get why it's doing all this analysis of the perception. But I asked it, well, if I asked it, what happened to Donald Trump regarding windmills? Is there an incident in his past that made him
Well, how you ask the question matters. You get different outputs, right? Is why the people who know how to ask AI a question and beat it into submission to get what they want, are able to use it effectively, at least in some use cases.
That's interesting. So when you talk about its use in education, the teachers really need to And this is because personal bias will come into play. How you answer the question determines what you get back, and knowing what you want to get back plays a big role in how you phrase the questions. So it is basically reacting to human bias no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a hammer. It's whose whose hand is it in, and is what do they want to do, and do they know what they want to do and know how to do it? And right now we're learning the how to do it correctly piece of it. But like there's this notion AI is unbiased, right? Well, there's all sorts of places. It's I'm giving it a prompt, and like, why is Donald Trump obsessed with windmills? Obsessed is a loaded word, right? It's trained on internet stuff where it's essentially human writing in the first place, where it's all biased. There isn't anywhere probably unbiased discussion of Donald Trump at this point. Right. You're either pro or against. I don't know if there's anybody who's just neutral analyzing him.
I would agree.
I think you can be against and analyze him fairly.
You can, but the bulk of the conversation isn't analytical, right? Is if we think about what the news media generates, right? If it bleeds, it leads, right? There's so much things that are that ways that things are talked about are designed to make people angry.
Right.
I wonder, and I'm going to reset this in a minute, but I'm rephrasing the question to ask if there was an incident in Trump's life with a windmill that gave him his opinion of windmills. But if I asked AI, is there anybody who has an unbiased opinion of Donald Trump? I'd be interested. I'm going to do that after this. Mm-hmm. How AI would answer that? And it's different AI models, right? Will answer it different ways. ChatGPT will, I don't know all the names of all the different open AI stuff. Each one will give me a different answer based on how they're programmed.
Well, it's less of program and more of what is their training data, how it's extracted. I mean, there's a little bit of programming because when you get outside of Grok, where there's not a whole lot of guardrails, ChatGPT, Gemini, Lambda, they all have various so-called ethical guardrails, where, I don't want to be offensive. To go back to the Microsoft tape, they don't want a neo-Nazi, agent, AI tool out there anymore. Whereas Grok doesn't really seem to care that much about that problem.
Yeah. I think there was a thing with Grok last week where somebody asked it about Hitler and it gave a favorable, was Hitler good? Did he do any good? And that came, and people were really upset about that. Well, because it came out with some things that it thought were positive that Hitler did, and people were upset by that.
I mean, that kind of gets into a mathematical moral reasoning problem. Like you and I would be like, we're not going to have that analysis that Hitler helped, the old lady across the street take out his trash, and that somehow makes up for the Holocaust, right? A does not equal to B, right? You're, genocide, bad place, never.
Now, if he helped her with her recycle, then maybe, but just the trash, no. But if he was sorting the trash into like recyclable stuff and maybe.
I did change the question just for people if they give a fuck about this at all. I said, was there any incident in Trump's past that influenced his opinion of windmills? And it gave me a list of legal things where windmills were constructed near his golf courses or near his properties, lawsuits that he got involved in. So it did go back.
Now that I recall, there is a bit of litigation history. He just doesn't like the aesthetics.
Right. All right. So that makes sense. It gives you some kind of framework for what he's talking, because to me, I think it's the last thing on people's minds. Even people who are concerned with green energy and stuff, they're not constantly bringing up, we need more windmills. We need more windmills. But for some reason, it's like a thorn in his side. He feels like he needs to bring it up, and it gave me some answers to that.
He also needs us to not talk about Epstein.
No. So I'm gonna put in this thing of, I'm curious about how this is gonna go. Is there anybody? Can you find one person? Sure, there's got to be somebody with an unbiased opinion of Donald Trump. They probably live in the Amazon. They're one of these lost tribes or something, right? They don't have any access to the internet or news. So it probably has to be, in 8 billion people, it's probably less than 100.
I think it's more like jury duty, so to speak. You voir duty. I mean, a jury. Yeah, everybody's going to have an opinion, but can you look at evidence and, despite your opinion, come to a just conclusion?
Yeah.
You know, an informed conclusion, despite the fact of how you may feel about something. You know, that's more like a marriage, even. You know, you have 11 kids, which, first of all, I really want to have your sanity checked. But no, I'm just teasing.
No, but I've given up hope, right? You know,
Yeah,
I'm never going to have money no matter how much I make, right? The house is always going to be messy.
But if you have 11 kids and you walk in and something's broken on the floor, okay, and you have to determine which of those 11 kids did it, or, you know, which ones were involved in it. You know, regardless of how you feel about your kids, how much you love them, or which one's your favorite, your least favorite, that has no bearing on how that lamp got broken.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to put things together. And you may, as soon as you see the lamp broke, you may think to yourself, well, I know the 2-year-old didn't do it because he could not have reached that where the lamp was. Well, the 2-year-old could have pulled the cord. You don't know that. And then pulled it. So now you have to figure out who broke the lamp. And regardless of your feelings, come to a just conclusion, an accurate conclusion. And then if a punishment is warranted, a just punishment. AI can't do that for you.
You know what's interesting is we've gotten it to the point where John only came in late, but 158 in the program here, where we finally started to talk about his 11 kids, because that to me is like, you must be a saint. I mean, I don't know
about that.
But just on that, well, you had to have some kids who were already grown and out of the house by the time the youngest ones were born, right? Or
I mean, I've got 2 adult kids, right? It goes from 20 to I've got a 1-year-old bonus baby who just started walking. So pretty much.
I was just trying to picture like a dinner table with 13 people at it. It's like, wow, this is like way too. Because in my house, 2 people enough can be like confusing enough and just like crazy enough with just the 2 of us here, no kids in the house at all. 13 people around the table, I would lose my mind. Everybody talking at once, everybody fighting, everyone arguing. Oh my God! So again, I think you must be a saint. You must be some of that.
Well, I mean, most of them are teenagers, so they have little use for us. So that helps.
So there's some they're like a built-in workforce or labor force.
Yeah.
Dad, teach me to drive. Now, wait a minute. You got 5 kids that need driving lessons at once? Oh, wow. Again.
Any of them twins? Or they're all single, pop out one at a time?
Yep.
All right.
Wow.
Let's come back to the book because time is short. And he obviously has a few more kids to make before the day is over.
Eventually, nature's going to shut down that problem.
in one of the bullet points for the book is practical strategies to protect yourself. Protect yourself how? Individually?
There's economically, right, of how do we, stay relevant to a workforce. AI is going to happen, right? And AI is going to upend lots of jobs. Including in my industry, is like my profession, 26 years in cybersecurity. The last 2 years were the only time where it was hard to find work for my peers, right? Like the economy does worse, that this industry has done better until the last 1.5 to 2 years, right, of AI. And, just workers tend to like, hey, I do this thing, I'm going to ride this for 30 years until retirement. Whereas, eventually AI can come in here. I'm going to do this thing. You don't have, you've not pivoted in your career. You've not learned any other expertise. You could be very easily put on the layoff table. Right. So, not to be overly self-referential, but this every 2-3 years in my career, I just pick a new kind of thing that I dig into. That's not, and I mean, it's work related in the sense of my profession, but not like here, my employer or my business is doing X. In this last couple of years, it's been AI. Prior to that, it was like cryptocurrency investigations for terrorist fundraising and, election manipulation. There's been a wide variety of things that I've done just every couple of years, just learn something new, because AI is always retrospective. You can only train it on something where there's already data out there. Right? AI won't replace PhD research.
Now, I thank you for that answer, because I'm just thinking about, in order to protect ourselves from the dangers of this, critical thinking skills are really important.
Absolutely.
But I think we are being conditioned by the nature of the beast. And when I say nature of the beast, I don't mean like the satanic thing again. The nature of the technology is conditioning us to drop our critical thinking skills and abandon whatever we had. So that part of it, it's kind of what we need the most in order to kind of stay vigilant and not let this thing ruin the world. It's by its very nature taking that tool away from us, because we're not thinking critically, right? We're depending on, we just accept at face value anything AI puts out now. Oh, must be true. It did its research in 30 seconds or whatever. It'll take me 7 months. So how do we kind of ourselves from being conditioned to not critical think and come back to a place where critical thinking is not only encouraged, but really we actually become activists in critical thinking?
There's a lot of questions to unpack there, right? But I mean, the first is, I don't know that you can do anything then other than personal motivation. There's a lot of people who doom scroll on TikTok or Facebook. They're happy with the 40-second videos. Here's your vignette, move on, right? Confirmation bias, entertainment, whatever. They don't care to think because the brain is already off, right? I think part of that, part of the whole nation of critical thinking, can you critically think about everything going on in the world? Well, no, but I'm not going to be able to really impact the humanitarian situation in Gaza or the war in Ukraine or whatever, right? Where I live in the country, my vote for the president does not matter. And in fact, almost all the offices are unopposed anyway. So my vote entirely doesn't matter, right? So critically thinking about the president or not, doesn't really impact the nature of of society. But things that matter is going to GD's example of, hey, somebody broke a lamp. How am I going to deal with this problem in my house with 11 kids? And show the kids, this is how we're going to solve this problem. This is how we're going to deal with, hey, somebody broke something. Now we're going to sit there and make the situation whole, right? So is really in the areas of influence where you can modify other people's, perceptions or behaviors or their attitudes. Is here. Let's go critically think about, hey, this broken lamp, right? Or, we're talking about, a chore schedule. Okay, this is how it did it, and well, I mean, at a certain point, these are the chores that need to get done. You divide it out and just move forward.
All right. Totally agree with what you just said. And this is where we're getting to the climax. Ooh, climax. Because I think your point of view is we really don't have a lot of the fears have been overblown, or especially the Hollywoodization of the idea of the fear of AI. But me and GD were talking, and GD and I were talking about use in art, and he was talking about laziness and this idea of critical thinking being our only tool to protect us from these horrible Hollywood type outcomes. Critical thinking is not part of the human condition. When we add in laziness, we are quicker to opt towards being lazy about it, or so we are abandoning that. So doesn't that come back to some of these fears are legitimate, not because AI is the devil, it's because we are just too lazy to and apathetic to do anything to safeguard ourselves and put, even if there are guardrails within the technology, personal guardrails on how we deal with it is something we definitely should be afraid of. Yes or no?
Well, absolutely. I mean, all technology does is take pre-existing human problems and magnify them, all the way back to the printing press, even farther, right? Is people have been stealing ever since people had stuff, right? Now I can steal using the internet for people in other countries and evade law enforcement because international law enforcement's hard, right? Technology is just magnifying human problems. They're not AI problems, per se, or technology problems. And there's no technology fix for it, right? I can't create a technical tool that's going to make somebody not be a thief. Or to use it, go back to the example of kids. I'm not going to be able to create a tool in a K-12 school that's going to detect in the fullness of time whether one of my kids used AI to generate a 5-page paper. But it's instilling in those kids. It's like the product of the 5-page paper is not a 5-page paper. Nobody in a high school is creating new academic research on World War II. There's not going to be any new insights. The product is, hey, they're learning how to research, they're learning how to reason, they're learning how to take a stand and defend that stand. Versus AI, give me a 5-page paper, even if you do the prompt to give you MLA formatting and all that kind of stuff, that's not the output. Is instilling it, in the kids. It's like the output is you learning how to do work and figuring this out, because there is shortcuts, and there's shortcuts all through life in anything, right? Not just in technology, but there's plenty of shortcuts to have. And in the short term, they often pan out, but in the long term, they don't, right? There's plenty of professors and university leaders who plagiarized their theses and 20 years later got caught, and their PhDs, get revoked, and they lose their university presidencies and whatever, right? Actually putting in the work matters. It seems like it doesn't matter in the short term, but when you get to middle age, when, you're with age discrimination in the workforce, the people who have been phoning it in and cutting shortcuts are the ones who are going to get laid off when they're 50 and not find work.
Oh, bottom line, because it seemed like you are. I'm not gonna put words in your mouth or assume that but it doesn't seem like you're optimistic for mankind's use of the technology, but you're not going to blame it on the technology. Is that a fair assessment of what I heard?
I mean, we've had AI for a while. It's a thing. It's a logical development to have happened, right? A Google search is an AI tool. It's essentially a prompt. Give me web pages related to these terms, and it does mostly okay, right? And it's created an entire business of search engine optimization, right? And in marketing and all that kind of stuff, right? It's a mixed bag, but the deficiencies in the human condition, are still present, right?
Yeah.
Is the notion of math will solve bias. No,
right.
There's plenty of humanity in it, right? The downside with AI, how do you have transparency and accountability, right? The math equation did it, right? Look with policing and facial recognition systems. Oh, I arrested this wrong person because the AI system said it was him. Sorry, I pointed a gun in your face, right? And even after saying, hey, you've got to take another step to verify the identity before drawing your weapon, police are lazy and do it anyway.
Yeah. So one last thing, and I'll put you out of misery and let you go while we have you captive here. One last thing. By the way, the links are in the description. The Amazon link is going across the bottom, but there's plenty of links in the description of John's work and websites. The book, because you were touching on the idea of feeling powerless or helpless in a world that my vote doesn't count. I can kid myself that my vote counts. And the other day, as people were talking about the things that are going on in Gaza and trying to make me feel some kind of guilt, like, what am I supposed to do about it? I have no power, and that really hit home to me. It's like, I have no control over this. I would love to be able to solve that problem, but I'm feeling empty. You wrote this book, hopefully to influence people to use this technology in the right ways and to employ the tools that God gave us, or whatever you believe gave us, in using it smart. And now those people, a lot of those people have no power over where AI goes or how we adopt it. The people who do, how do you make sure this book gets in the hands of the right people? Not just, and I'm sure you're happy with anybody reading the book, but you want people who have actually some degree of some power to read it, right? And do you have any idea that that's happening?
I mean, a book is a tool, right? It's hey, I wrote something, let's have a conversation, right? That conversation varies on people. And, AI systems behaving poorly is the thing I talk about to politicians and lawyers, right?
Yeah.
Is technology benefits from this notion of, hey, you can't regulate us. We have to have all of these immunities from all of the harms from that happen. Well, that, again, absolves them of the problems that they're creating. They're creating a tool. They're making billions or trillions of dollars of money, and then they're letting other people pay the costs of those tools.
Yeah.
In the 1800s, that was chemical plants dumping the byproducts into rivers and lakes. we have an economic model of this. It's okay, you're going to create this $1 trillion business or whatever the valuations are, because they're absurdly high, is you also need to be liable for when it goes wrong. If a car breaks down, a wheel falls off, and a car, rolls over into a ditch and hits 3 people, you're going to have a lawsuit against Ford, and they're going to have to pay.
Right.
The same's got to be true here, and not just for major harms, but for minor harms. If you're creating a tool out there for dating, right, then you need to have some responsibility to make sure that you're dealing with romance scams and bad actors in your system.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like old school technology and this like street team marketing to go up, take 100 of your books and go up on Capitol Hill, and every congressman or every senator that walks by know about the book. Because again, I feel like, yeah, there might be some people who read the book and it resonates with them, but if they're like me, they've got I can take away a lesson from the book, but I've got no power to implement it or put any application behind it. And if that's the case, it's just words on a paper and it's entertainment, but it's not going to help us do anything positive with it. So, I mean,
it's also
street team marketing.
It's also possible that there's actually 1 or 2 people out there who don't even know that this is an issue for them. They just, and then they read the book and then they go, okay, this is really something I think I could do something about. It's not even on their radar. Like right now, they're like a sous chef or something, and they're just cooking and they're just using a computer to play Minesweeper or something. And then all of a sudden they read the book and they go like, wait a second. I could be an advocate for intelligent AI or responsible AI use. And they start writing letters, or they run for office or something like that. So it's the book. I say just pick up the book and buy it. You don't know how it's going to affect you.
Yeah, there is a lot of bias towards just the AI about people who aren't really learning about it. They just hear, it sounds like something from a sci-fi movie. I don't want to get involved in it. Didn't we learn our lesson with the bees, the killer bees? Remember the killer bees? So everything if mankind seems to like stick our finger in, like, is a potential socket, electric socket where we're gonna get shocked. Or we've seen this movie and we know how it's gonna play out. It's never good, so let's just be afraid of it. And I think so. You are one of the few voices that I've talked to that are saying we shouldn't be afraid of it. We should be afraid of ourselves. Is that a fair way to?
I mean, I think, I mean, AI, if you're talking about like confirmation bias, the death of critical thinking, the fact that cheating in education, especially K-12 cheating, is just going to be undetectable, right? But those dynamics were always present, right, in the human species. The downfalls of the profit motive in capitalism. Hey, I don't need to think about the harms to other people. Well, we figured out how to deal with that with chemical dumping, in the 1890s and dealing with monopolies and all that kind of stuff, right? Nobody believes that businesses should be able to dump their industrial waste into a waterway anymore, right? So there are things that could be done, within somewhat existing historical precedent, and just saying, hey, let's not create this big national regulatory framework that's really dealing with, hey, the AI may wake up one day and decide to exterminate humanity. Let's just say you create a product, you're responsible for the outcomes of that product within reason.
Well, that's why they have corporations to move the responsibility away from the individual and say, oh no, it's a corporate thing.
Oh yeah,
and because it's harder to hold a corporation responsible and harder to put them in jail. Actually, it's impossible to put a corporation in jail, and we won't go after the CEOs and those people.
Well, we'll talk about it.
But you can put it in terms, I understand, of revenue minus cost equal profit. It's like, you do this, we're going to add to your cost. I mean, that's the only mathematical equation that matters for business thinking. And if you can put put your problem where it affects one of those 3 levers, you can get some movement.
Fair enough. We appreciate you being on the program. If I can, because not like I talk to politicians all the time. I think it's important for people to kind of suggest this book to people who have some power or represent you. That's another part of it, is we don't talk enough. People don't even know who their representatives are, never mind have a conversation with them. But Nick Leota is my congressman, and I'm going to send him an email today with a link to the Amazon page on this book and tell him he should read it and get the book. And I think that's all we can do for you, is kind of try to expose people who have some influence more than we do, to encourage them to read it. And I look forward to reading it. So thank you for being here. You've given us some to talk about and think about in the future. So very much appreciate it. And lastly, I just want to say this is incredible that you have 11 kids and none of them have run in the room to say, let me be on camera.
No, I mean, that's what summer camp is for.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being here. Thanks. Have a great day. And we wish you success with the book. Good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Have a great day. Bye now. Oh, this thing is not working over here. Let me do this. I got computer problem. I got technology. Technology is the devil.
I have a question for you, Matt, and it's I apparently someone's reached out to me. Another person reached out to me wanting to be on the show. I gave them the thing, the booking. Some guy named Selvin, Selvin
Hicks. This morning, yeah.
I'm sorry.
He booked this morning.
Oh, okay. Did he do? Because he sent me his bio.
No.
And I didn't know. Wanted to make sure he sent the bio.
No, he did not.
Okay. I'm going to copy the bio. I mean, I can copy it and send it to you.
Yeah. I guess because he thought, well, at least he given him all the benefit of the doubt. At least he sent it to you, which is more than anybody is. And at least he has a bio, and he thought to send it to you. He read the instructions enough to know that a bio was important, and he sent it to you. That's a head and shoulders above what so many of these other people do. There's like, they don't even send me what they're promoting, links to any. Now I got to go do research on them. You know, that's my time. I got to work for you now.
Now, did he send you a picture?
No.
I just sent it in Messenger because he sent it to me in Messenger. And I'm going to forward the picture. I just forwarded the text. Now I'm going to copy the image.
Yeah.
Let's try that. See if I can do this.
All right. While you're doing that, can you think and do that at the same time or no?
Yeah. I just did it. It's done.
Because you were talking about holding corporations, putting them in jail. Here's where Citizens United, by the way, I think is one of the worst decisions that ever happened. But the idea that corporations are people, corporations are people in terms of donating towards politicians, getting them elected, but not in terms of personal responsibility, which is kind of, if you're going to be people, let's be people all the way, be able to be arrested.
Exactly. That's why Congress needs to write a law saying what defining what a person is.
They need to just undo Citizens United.
Well, yeah, but part of that is if you define what a person is, then Citizens United will not qualify as being a person. Therefore, they will not have those rights. Therefore, you can overturn Citizens United.
Yeah.
Because you have to have something compelling to overturn Citizens United. Right now, there's nothing to say that they're not a person. So we need to say, okay, this is what a person is: a biological unit, biological unit, offspring, such and such, whatever, RNA, DNA, whatever it is you need to define a person biologically, so that a corporation cannot be a person. As soon as we're born, we're a person. A corporation is not born. A corporation doesn't become a corporation until people.
You mean me, not you. You still have a couple of fifths to work on.
Well, yeah, I'm 2/5 shy of a whole person.
Yeah, so work on that if you would.
Oh, that's another law. I'm working on the other law.
Or just go to the liquor store and buy 2/5, and then you're there.
But then the other 3/5 won't work.
And you
I get those 2/5. The other 3/5 will not work. I guarantee it.
Those 2/5 will be Scotch anyway. I mean, you want to be American. You don't want to be Scotch.
No. If I got 2/5, I'm going to go full black. I'm getting Hennessy and Ripple. No.
All right, that's fine. I think when he was talking about AI has been around forever. When you do a Google search, that's kind of what I was trying to demonstrate with that band in the boxing. That thing has been a program that musicians have been using forever. I promise you, there are songs that you've listened to and liked over the last 15, 20 years that have used that kind of AI technology that people don't realize. But as soon as they hear, well, it's AI, it's the and a big part of this, like he was talking about, and I was talking about people who have the power. Big part of the problem is beyond boomers. What Chuck Schumer's and the ancient and Chuck Grassley. All these guys are 100 years old who are representatives. They have no patience or understanding of technology. No. All they know is that sounds like some kitty gizmo. I don't want to get off my lawn.
And then they try to pretend they know what's going on, and they say things like, "Well, AI is just like the covered wagon." It's like it's like okay. Right. I'll bite. How is the AI like a covered wagon? You set out the new frontier. You don't know how far the wagon's going to take you. The wagon breaks down, and there you are.
Wow, you were ready with that. Well, you must have given it some thought.
No, I didn't. I didn't. It just, that's how my brain works. My brain says, okay, GD, you just painted yourself in the corner. Get out.
Wow. That's pretty good. I got to say, that was pretty good. Anyway, I started the show with all this technology, but I put out the premise that I was going to prove Blind Mike either right or wrong, because I was starting the show without any of the people he characterized as talentless hacks, and the show would still suck even without them. So again, it comes just down to me just inherently sucking. So I think I proved that here today. I think I proved that point.
That we aren't talentless hacks. Well, we're hacks, but we're talentless. We're talentless, but we're not hacks.
It doesn't help that the technology sabotaged me here today. This fucking...
That's true. I mean, I was trying to pay attention this morning while I was waiting for my appointment to show up, who showed up 5 minutes late and didn't send me a text and say, because I didn't get a text saying, confirming the appointment for today, or, an email. Or if I'd said to text me, because they're a new person, a new company. They could send me an email, and I don't know which one of the 5 fucking folders it went to.
Now, just I hate to get personal here. This guy you're hiring, you described him as a contractor. Like, he does everything. He does plumbing.
Actually, no. The company is Sunsetter, and I told him I would talk about my experience on the radio. Sunsetter would get free
advertising.
That's it. So whenever my wife and I get a big task, or an expensive task, I should say, anything, if it's a few $1,000s or more, my wife leans more toward a reputable, not just like a contractor, like a handyman, an electrician. She wants Horizon. She wants Sunsetter. She wants a name thing. Until they either price us out of it, like when we went to get our doors, was it the doors? Yeah, we went to get our sliding glass doors replaced with French doors for the patio, and I told my wife, I said, look, I can do that myself. We're going to redo the jam. She said, so how long would it take you? I said, well, my concern is how long. I said, we'd have to leave the door open for I'd have to put plastic up for a day or two. As opposed to like a real professional who could probably do it in a couple of hours or a day.
You couldn't just write "we" on the door and that would make it a French door?
Well, you have to put "we" on one door, "non" on the other.
Selvin Hicks. I just want to see what Selvin said here.
Okay. So we picked this name brand company, and their price was like $9,000. And I'm like, and they're like lifetime this, lifetime that, this and that. And I'm looking at my wife and said, no. And my wife said, well, we're not paying $9,000 for 2 doors, And so we found I think we went through Lowe's, and we got a contractor who we ordered the doors through Lowe's. I picked out the doors, and I put the door handle. I picked out the locks. I put the locks on. So only thing they had to do was redo the jam because it was kind of crooked. You could tell it was crooked because when we put the go to slide it shut, it had like a gap like this at the bottom. So they replumbed it and put the doors in, and now it's insect proof. And
I'm
I
the
just
kind
have
of
to
person
paint
who
it.
would just let that shit go. My wife would fucking argue with them all day until it got right. I would, all right, you fucked it up. Sure, I'll pay you. Get out of here, and then just live with it all fucked up. That's how I am. I'm just too lazy to fucking.
But we got somebody. My wife, because we're getting an awning, we went with Sunsetter at least to start. Now, once we get the estimate back, and for what we want, if it's too expensive, my wife and I, first of all, I didn't want the motorized one. I wanted the manual awning. I'm not so lazy that I don't mind doing it. We're not going to use it that often. Yeah. We're not going to use it that often. We're not going to use it as often as my wife thinks we are. We don't entertain guests. Yeah. Okay. We have people come over and they go to the basement and we go to the comedy. Basement.
I was just going to say that they ain't going out back.
Right. Yeah. Right. When we have company out back, it's just 4 of us, and we used to have a table with an umbrella. Thanks to the 80-mile-an-hour wind, we don't have that anymore. But we don't entertain on the deck that often. So that awning is going to come down like 4 times a year. I can do this 4 times a year. Okay.
I was doing that this morning. I'm sorry.
4 times a year, I can do this. We're not gonna. But the one thing that, and this is what my wife will not admit to. We are about to buy an awning so that stray cats will have shade in the summer. That's why we're buying the awning. It has nothing to do with us.
Because even chipping in at all?
No, they're not. Not only they're not chipping in, they probably will only use it 4 or 5 times. Maybe 3 hours a day.
Fucking cats.
And that means when they're on the deck, I have to go out it'll have a remote control. That's the other thing. My wife and I, like I said, we decided that we'll do the manual. This morning around 6 o'clock, my wife kisses me on the forehead. She goes, remember, we're going to turn 80. Are we still going to want to hand crank the awning when we turn 80? That's what she said. That was her way of saying, I want motorized. Now, the thing is, we are not turning 80 at the same time. I will be 84 years before her. Okay. And also, okay, look, I'm already an orphan and I'm also an only child now. I have outlived everyone else, in my family. If I outlive my wife, I hit the trifecta. You know what I'm saying? So, and I now have goals again. I have a goal. Just outlive my wife so I can hit the trifecta.
Yeah, my wife doesn't like the joke. My favorite joke now is Jackie's joke that he told us about the guy waiting. He's in the car crash, and the doctor comes out and tells him you're gonna have to take care of her and all that stuff. And then he says, "I'm just fucking with you. She's dead." And my wife doesn't think that's funny, of course, but to me, because that's good. That's a happy ending. But yeah, no, whatever. I mean, you and your wife are not going to. I hate to tell you this. Neither one of you are going to turn 80. Neither one of you are going to make it to Christmas. I'm not going to make. Nobody on this planet is going to make it to Christmas this year because there is this 7-mile long comet asteroid spaceship that is coming to end the world. Don't ruin my good fucking news.
It's not going to happen. First of all, it's not a spaceship.
So even if it's not a spaceship,
and it's not a meteor. It's not. And the funny thing, even if it were a threat, you think that with Space Force will let it get close enough to destroy the Earth? No, Space Force.
I looked up Space Force yesterday. Space Force is having a trouble recruiting people, obviously, because
it's a fucking made up name and company. They should have just left it with the Air Force. People will join the Air Force. That sounds real. We see airplanes. Who the fuck is going to join Space Force? That sounds like a cartoon from the fucking 70s.
And what the logo? Remember when they were going through picking the logo? Now this happened. Oddly enough, Space Force was formed December 20th of 2019. 5 days before COVID started hitting the United States before COVID, the first case of COVID reached the United States. So there was a big thing, big talk, and then COVID happened. People forgot about Space Force. Nobody has mentioned it on Twitter in the last 5 years. And I feel like it's like a forgotten thing. It exists. Somebody put money into it. It's an entity, but they're not doing anything because nobody's signing up. We talk about a recruitment. People are still joining the Army and Navy and Air Force and Marines, maybe even the Coast Guard to some extent, but nobody's joining Space Force. They're still recruiting, and they're willing to even look at a 65-year-old man. I know this because I was on the site yesterday. And I said, like, how old? If I'm 65, did that out? Am I beyond? No, we'll consider anybody. Like, really?
Well, they have to, but I think they have to say that by law because otherwise it'd be ageism. But look, they should have left. They only created because Donald Trump is a fucking idiot and a baby and a child, and they wanted to appease him. They thought we'll give him this and he won't do any real damage.
I promise you, though, if I went on the Marine site and said I'm 65 years old, can I consider joining the Marines? They say, get the fuck out of here, old man. Space Force is like, we got one. Hey,
but if they should have left it alone, left it under the Air Force, and people join the Air Force. They can say, with your aptitude, you know what you'd be really good for? Monitoring space and satellites and the threat from space. They'd be like, okay, and he's still in the Air Force. But you go like, Space Force? No, that's a cartoon from the fucking 70s.
Well,
where people dressed up like owls and shit.
The Air Force said to me, "Are you that guy who surrounds himself with talentless hacks?" I was like, "Oh, I guess Mike got to you before." Yeah. So all this stuff. I mean, I don't know where the fuck we're going here. I just don't. But I do think. Well, maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow or the next day or something, or the next day or the next day or the next day. This thing. I'm hearing different dates. Like I heard in September or October or November of this year, the thing was going to arrive here. Now I heard Joe Rogan and Mike Vicione was a comedian who I'll talk about that in a second. But he was talking about this thing coming, and they said they're projected here for 2027. I was like, that's too far off. I don't know. I'm not waiting around a year and a half for the end of the world. I want the end of the world now.
Now, Matt, I'm sorry. This is what I think of when I think of Space Force.
Yeah.
That cartoon right there. Yeah. Even though that cartoon is called G-Force, that's what I think of Space Force. That's what every time somebody says Space Force, this is what I see, and this is probably why very few people are signing up for it because they don't even have the cool costumes or the little magic powers that these guys have.
They have that cool emblem that looks like very much like Star Wars, like they stole it from Star Wars.
Yeah, but this predates Star Wars by like 100 years.
Yeah, but yeah, it's anyway, I just don't have the patience for the end of the world. I can't wait till 2027. I want it. I want it now. It will be good before Christmas. That way, GD doesn't have to invest in an awning for his cat.
No, we're investing in the awning, and that's because my wife and I they're going to send us the estimate this evening. And the thing is, I know it's going to be more expensive than what I thought it was going to be because, well, first of all, there was supposed to be like a $900 off. If you make your decision by August 2nd or something like that, $900 off. In order for someone to give you $900 off and still make a profit, it must be fucking expensive to begin with.
I always think we're going to give you $900 off, but jack up the price $900 before you go in there. It's like, we're going to give you you got a little coupon or whatever for $900 off, but we already jacked it up $900.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to run around. I think they're going to look at that $5,000. I think probably, and I'll talk to my wife about it. See if she wants us to do it for $5,000, or she wants me to look to see what I can, because again, my wife is a brand name person. Okay, I'm not a brand name person. I am a what I want. Well, let's do what I want person. So when my wife and I when we shop for stuff, I will go into a store and I will look for an open box items. I will look for open box items. My wife wants new, and I want open. I'll say no. If it's fine, let's check out the
open box is somebody brought it home, tried to assemble it, and fucked it up and brought it back. That's what I was.
Well, some things don't require assembly.
Yeah.
Like a television doesn't require assembly. Computer doesn't require assembly so much, and then they check it out and they get a warranty with it.
Yeah.
You know, if I get a new warranty with it, all the pieces are there, and it's not all fucked up, I'll go open box. You know,
Yeah.
and matter of fact, that's part of my search when I buy stuff. The laptop computer I have, my laptop, I went searched open box items, and then I found something I wanted.
I'm agreeing with you on that. I don't have any problem with it not being like brand new sealed box from the factory as long as it's all there and it works. Sure.
Right. Now, my wife, on the other hand, you know, I think I'm the last open box thing she purchased.
I never saw your box, but I'm not sure I want to see your box.
Well, it was enough for her to invest 20 years of her life.
Yeah.
20-something years of her life.
Just briefly on the Joe Rogan, because yesterday, Mike Vicione, who is a New York comic, he's married to, I don't know if they got married yet. He was engaged to Katie Hannigan. I don't know if they got married yet, but he's a local guy. He's down to earth. He's a comedy club guy, and it's about time he got his moment now. Hopefully he'll get some new opportunities from being on Rogan. But it was just funny to me that Rogan has him on his podcast, and then Rogan just drags him into this stuff that I know he's not interested in. This fucking thing that's coming from outer space that we don't know what it is. He's trying to bring him in, and you can tell Mike has no. I don't fucking care about any of this stuff. This is typical Joe Rogan. Let's talk about DMT and UFOs and Bigfoot and aliens and all this stuff. And you can tell Mike's got no interest in all that stuff, but he's got to be there. But if you're a comedian, the exposure and what that can do for your career is important. But you could tell, like this, you're bringing up something like talking. It's like me going to like a fucking old folks home and talking about mushrooms. Like, anybody here what to do with mushrooms? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it's just bizarre to see how Rogan he was so excited to talk about this stuff with a guy who obviously had no interest in this at all. Like, his big comments were like, yeah? Oh, so you're saying AI is going to fight this thing? Like, what is it? Who cares? Like, yeah, it was just bizarre to see him. But one thing he did bring up, are you familiar with Mr. Baller?
No, I don't think I am.
Mr. Baller is a YouTube guy who brings up scary stories from history and some of the stuff like mysteries and really scary, intriguing stories. He came up with this story. He had Tom Segura on. And he doesn't usually ever have people on. It's just him telling stories. For some reason, he called up Tom Segura and wanted to share the story with him about a pilot who fell asleep while flying and ended up flying. And he was like flying over the middle of America or something. Fell asleep behind the wheel, flying a plane, and woke up over the ocean.
Commercial pilot? Oh, I guess
a private pilot.
Okay.
But he woke up over the ocean, like, how the fuck did I get here? The amount of fuel hadn't changed, and the time displacement hadn't changed. But somehow he woke up over the ocean, and he was like, how the fuck did I get here? What happened? And then started talking, and recorded it. And according to the guy, the voice is his, but it's aliens talking through him, and telling him that we are the only civilization. There are people. Entities like humans throughout the universe, but this is the only planet that is still engages in war, and you got to learn to deal with that, or somebody's going to have to come and have a talk with you. One of these other alien things. And so, but they're talking about this, and I could see Vicione just like fucking nodding off, like this is typical Joe Rogan, like. It's too hard to believe, but still, he's excited about sharing this story.
Well, my question is, even before is the plane big enough to have a black box? What does a black box say? Or does it have like
recording? The guy, he recorded the voice coming through him and all this stuff.
Yeah, but the black box would say it was
how he got over the ocean.
Right, it would track this location, and then all of a sudden it would be this location.
All aircraft, like private aircraft, have those.
Well, that's what I was wondering if it was big enough to have a black box, or if it's just a flight recorder. That's what I was wondering. How big of a plane is it, and does it have a flight recorder?
Yeah, I'm going to look into it today because obviously they say a recording is available to listen to. And,
yeah, but I fuck the audio recorder. I don't care about that.
I do. I want to. because first of all, I want to hear what it says. How far fetched is the message? Like, is it just like totally out there, like fucking like a Twilight Zone fucking nonsense, or does it seem to make any sense at all? That's why I'm curious in that. But like, are there any things that he slips up that give him away? Because when I did Barbara Brennan, when I was doing audio for her, she would go into a trance, but there were things.
Are you getting in trouble? Right? How's the stereo? How's the Dolby sound? Is it? Are you catching my good side? Are you catching my good side?
She would open one eye and go with me like. That's a clear indication that you're not really in a trance and channeling Haywind from Atlantis. This is you talking to me now, and no, you can't just pop in. So I'm curious on that level, what's out there. But the black box stuff is definitely worth looking into. I just can't. I can't imagine why he decided I need Tom Segura for this episode. The guy's done. He's got millions and millions of followers, and he's done probably thousands of these videos, and never had a guest on. And all of a sudden, I got to get a guest, and it's got to be Tom Segura. Like that's curious to me.
He should have got a comedian funnier than Tom Segura.
I know there are comedians funnier than Tom Segura. I don't know if you know that.
I've heard.
One last thing before, and I know we're way late again. What the fuck? It doesn't matter. While I went down that rabbit hole, YouTube starts feeding me all these videos, and one of the things it came out with was a video that is 1 month old about 9/11 and United 23 being the fifth plane, and they laid out this case for there being a fifth plane, United 23 being the fifth plane, and it was really convincing. And to me, the question became, this is 24 years ago. Why did it take 24 years for anybody to even talk about this? Where there are 4 Arab gentlemen in the front of the plane, they're arguing, take off already. It's going to be a little bit late. For whatever reason, Kennedy Airport, they were already noticing that planes had already hit the World Trade Center, and things were starting to affect traffic there. And these guys were anxious. One guy asked for access to the cockpit, which was suspicious, an Arab guy. One guy dressed as a woman in a burqa, but was clearly a man. And one, when he was getting off the plane, asked the stewardess or flight attendant. Sorry, you're not supposed to say stewardess anymore. Flight attendant.
I thought they were plane bunnies.
Did the one hit the White House? Like, wait a minute. Why would that even, for somebody to ask that question would indicate that, because they weren't getting news reports. They didn't even know you supposedly didn't know anything about the Trade Center. And even to ask that question of a flight attendant as they were making you get off the plane, did the one hit the White House? That's suspicious. And the FBI brought him in and made him go through a lineup of people. Are these the guys? Are these the guys? Did they get away? So there's this really compelling case about there being a fifth plane, but it didn't come out till a month ago, which is really fun. You would think Alex Jones would have been on this the day after or something, right? I don't know.
Yeah, but if you're not turning the frogs gay, why would he even be caring? You know. Well, anyway, it's interesting. I mean, I guess, you know, I mean, I don't know anything about this. This is my first hearing about it. If it's like legit, I can see them wanting to hide it, because if we limit the scope, if say, okay, there were 4 planes, 20 terrorists, or a total of 19, because one didn't quite make it. 19 terrorists, 4 planes. It's a nice, neat little bundle, you know. And then if you open up to 5, then why couldn't there be 6?
Yeah, and also what happened to these guys? They got away, and how many more people are in on it that might still be in the United States somewhere that never got arrested? There's that concern. But again, 21 years or 24 years later, you would think somebody would have, because all these people, the pilot of the plane, the co-pilot, all the flight attendants were talking about it with great recollection. And that they felt at the time that this was the one woman was talking about her trauma because she knew she was on the fifth plane. Well, what took you 24 years to fucking come and talk to the news about it?
That's something I don't understand, why people didn't come out. And I mean, I would have been out. You wouldn't have been able to you couldn't shut me up anyway, but they really wouldn't have been able to shut me up.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, tomorrow we're going to talk about sex cosplay. That should be interesting stuff, right?
Now, was there one day that you said you weren't going to be here?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think there's some day where I'm not going to be here. Hopefully it's soon when that fucking thing comes and fucking hits the planet. I don't know. Not on in my memory of anything in the near future that I'm not going to be here for. But
okay, all right. Okay, I know tomorrow. Oh, my wife and I have trivia tonight. Wednesday night we go out with some friends and we do some drinks and play trivia at some bar. A bar that is starting to do comedy again, but the person who's in charge of booking has me on their I do not like you list.
Wow, so, I do not like you.
Yeah.
So they have the I like you not. I like
yeah,
you, I like
and
you.
I'm on the I do not like you list.
All right.
And it's it's because the woman he was dating at the time said to him, he's really talking about me. He's really funny. He reminds me of you back when you used to care about comedy, because he's still performing, but you can tell he doesn't care. He doesn't put in the effort to write and stuff. He just, he says he's improvising everything. But I've seen like 3 of his routines, and he's improvising the same material each time. So
wow. Yeah. All right. Wear a costume tomorrow, okay? I'm gonna come in. It's cosplay day. Wear something sexy for me.
Ooh, that's rough.
What's going on? We shouldn't have people in the house. Why am I hearing voices? Who's in my house?
Okay, I have underwear that has Santa Claus on the face, and it says ho ho ho. Actually, not take that back. I don't have them anywhere. I can't fit them anymore.
I got a cowboy hat. That's all I got.
I have a fez. Oh, okay. I could come as a comedian. I could be possum. I'm the possum.
Oh, the possum. Possum. I was almost desperate enough to try and bring up that Hedberg thing before. I brought up again the Trump shooting, the staging of that. But the possum guy, the possum reminds me of.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Sorry, possum. I didn't mean to insult your possum. But yeah, so all right, let's wrap this up. Tomorrow is cosplay day, and everybody get ready to wear something sexy, and we'll talk about how we can, I don't know, how enhance your sex life by wearing a clown outfit or something. Anyway, that's the show for today. Don't forget to turn on your AI radio. Bye for now.
Coming for you! That's coming for you! What you wanna do, baby? It's on you, baby. Hello, around big homie. What you wanna do, baby? It's on you, baby. Walk around nappy.
Welcome to Minucci's. Welcome to Minucci.
Who the hell are you?
Fuck off my program, dick face ass.
to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now.